Chapter 856. As danger became more pressing, the experts and elites of Xieyang Palace all headed toward the purple crystal tower at the center of the city. Zhao Feng's group of two walked together with the people from Sky Sword Pavilion, unlike what they usually did. This was related to the promise between Zhao Feng and the Little Sword Saint. Right now, resolving the threat of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon is the most important thing. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. Xieyang Palace's exploration was still very limited. They didn't even know 1/10 or 1/100th of the city. However, no matter how many things there were, they needed to be alive to possess them. There was less than 20 days left. This was why Zhao Feng agreed to the promise with the Little Sword Saint so easily. If it was just for benefits, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng wouldn't have joined another force. It was more convenient to work alone. On the way, Zhao Feng felt that the wicked power within Nan Gongsheng's body was becoming restless. Nan Gongsheng's expression was filled with excitement and caution. Right now, Nan Gongsheng can still maintain his own personality, but the evil god crystal is merging with him more and more. I don't know how long the divine concentration pearl, water soul pearl, and green water sky lotus can last. Zhao Feng was slightly worried. Zhao Feng would respect Nan Gongsheng's decision, and he even agreed to help him to the best of his ability. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The purple crystal tower at the center of the city started to get closer and closer. With every inch he got closer, the invisible pressure from the Amethyst Pagoda would become more and more powerful. Inside the Amethyst Pagoda, there's a superpower that surpasses our imagination. Just a trace of its aura is already so terrifying the tattered ancient god sword in Dong Yao's hand started to tremble. Her gaze even subconsciously glanced at Nan Gongsheng. The hearts of everyone else jumped from the terrifying aura, and the true yuan within their bodies started to tremble uneasily. Only Nan Gongsheng was filled with anticipation and excitement, and his aura was very active. The purple crystal tower didn't seem far, but it was actually quite a distance away. Several hours later, the Imperials and Sky Suspension Palace were the first to arrive. What a terrifying aura! This amethyst treasure pagoda must contain some of the ancient god Xie Yang's divine power. Senior Brother Zhuge looked serious. For some unknown reason, the energy sealed within the amethyst pagoda became more and more restless. The aura it gave off made it difficult for everyone to circulate their true essence. Not long after, the team from the Duanmu family, Sky Sword Pavilion, and other forces also arrived. Someone else has been here before. Nan Gongsheng's nose twitched, and the scarlet golden nose ring next to his nostrils trembled. This crimson gold nose ring came from the golden bones of the ancient city ruins. It gave the user a super sensitive sense of smell, which could be used to track and determine the attributes of various natural treasures. Zhao Feng's ancient green shoes were originally from the golden skeleton, but they were damaged in the smelting tower and eventually exploded. As soon as he finished speaking, thump, gulp, one or two figures rolled out from within the silent and gloomy amethyst pagoda. It's Jiao Wuji. One of them was a bald male in black battle robes, and he attracted everyone's attention and exclamations. These two kings both came from Nine Darkness Palace. Jiao Wuji was still able to keep his emotions under control, but he couldn't hide the shock on his face. The other king's clothes were messy, and he seemed to be in a daze. Brother Jiao, what's going on inside the pagoda? A king asked curiously. That pagoda should be where ancient god Xieyang cultivates. There's a terrifying aura that suppresses all external forces. Jiao Wuji took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. The two of them sat on the ground, and their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. We haven't seen any living beings. Our souls and true yuan are suppressed within the pagoda, and we can't circulate them at all. Another king said with a frightened expression, Our souls and true yuan are both suppressed. Xin Yuan 1 and company looked at each other and started to analyze the situation within the Amethyst Pagoda. Without a doubt, this Amethyst Pagoda was most likely the core of Xieyang Palace. Whoosh, whoosh. Right at this moment, groups from other forces could be faintly seen near the Amethyst Pagoda. This included the Ji family, Grand Duke Qi's palace, the Jiang family, and other forces. Were unable to enter. Jilan spoke. While exploring Xieyang Palace, the teams of the forces were scattered all over the place. Some of the groups had reached the core of Xieyang Palace before anyone else. Perhaps some squads were still lingering in areas with fortuitous encounters, such as the Tower of Refinement and the Dark Library. However, as time passed, everyone would reach the core of Xieyang Palace due to the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's death threat. Whoosh! A green-robed man leapt up and landed on one of the eaves of the Amethyst Pagoda. Xian Wuheng. The male in azure was moving by himself, which was very sudden. Xian Wuheng stood with his hands behind his back, but his expression was solemn as his gaze scanned across Sky Suspension Palace, the Imperials, and then paused on Zhao Feng, Xuan Moyan, and Mo Dongyao. This Amethyst Pagoda is called the Evil Sky Pagoda, and it contains the remnant power of a god. Even though it's extremely weak and isn't even 1,000th of its peak, it can suppress anyone below the demigod realm. Xian Wuheng let out a long breath. Evil Sky Pagoda? Everyone was curious as to how Xian Wuheng knew the name of this pagoda. Perhaps Xian Wuheng had discovered it earlier, or perhaps he already knew more inside information. Xian Wuheng, does this mean that you've explored it before? Zhao Feng asked. Xian Wuheng nodded his head. He had indeed explored the Evil Sky Pagoda before, but he failed. That wasn't all. Xian Wuheng had also explored the buildings around the Evil Sky Pagoda. Each one was extremely important, and many of them had God's forbidden arrays protecting them. The remaining wisps of God's power of the Evil Sky Pagoda suppress true Yuan the most, followed by the soul and physical body. Therefore, the stronger one's true Yuan is the more disadvantaged they are. Xian Wuheng explained. Zhou Wuji and Xian Wuheng's failures made most people give up on the Evil Sky Pagoda. I want to try, Nan Gongsheng said confidently. The purple and blood-colored symbol on his forehead flashed, and the connection became more than 10 times stronger. I don't disagree. Xian Wuheng looked thoughtfully at Nan Gongsheng and continued. I'm here to give you an even more important piece of news. It was obvious. Xian Wuheng wasn't interested in the Evil Sky Pagoda itself. The most important thing right now was how to survive against the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Important news? More and more forces arrived, and their gazes landed on Xian Wuheng's face. Xian Wuheng was the same as Zhao Feng. He was a mysterious person that was shrouded in fog. Even the kings couldn't see through him. This news is about the core of the god's forbidden array. I've already found it. Xian Wuheng said directly. God's forbidden array. Everyone's hearts shook when they heard that. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had mentioned 2 things when it was threatening them. The first was the key to the Yuan sealing divine chains. The second was the core of the god's forbidden array. Obtaining the key or destroying the core of the god's forbidden array would earn the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's forgiveness. They didn't expect Xian Wuheng to have already found the core of the god's forbidden array. Lowly humans, the god's forbidden array is already full of flaws. As long as you destroy the core, I will forgive you. A disdainful voice sounded in everyone's ears. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's voice sounded through the marks of destruction. God's forbidden array? Take us there. This is our chance to turn the tables. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge had a joyful expression. Zhao Feng also revealed a weird expression. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge's thoughts were the same as his. That's exactly what I was thinking. My power alone is limited. Xian Wuheng nodded his head. Although he had found the god's forbidden array, his power was limited, and he couldn't change the situation. Puny humans, you can't control the god's forbidden array, let alone threaten me. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's mocking voice sounded. The god's forbidden array was a complete system in Xieyang Palace, and it could be understood as a net. As long as one found the core and controlled it to a certain degree, they would be able to control the power of the entire God's Forbidden Array. This was the thought that Zhao Feng had when he first entered Xieyang Palace. However, Zhao Feng wasn't the only one with the same plan. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, Xian Wuheng, and company also had the same plan. Accordingly, there were also some people who wanted the key to the primordial sealing divine chain. If they obtained the key, they might be able to threaten the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. After all, there might only be one key. The core of the God's Forbidden Array is behind us. Xian Wuheng turned around. Everyone looked in that direction and saw a dark silver building made of metal. There was no entrance at all. This metal building was impregnable, and there was no way to break through it. Everyone felt a strong surge of power from the God's Array before they even got close. This building is called the God's Array Building. All the forbidden arrays in Xieyang Palace are located here. Xian Wuheng explained. Soon, the groups of the various forces gathered in front of the God's Array Building. The Evil Sky Tower and the God's Array Building were at the front and the back. Of course, a small number of people stayed next to the Evil Sky Tower and didn't give up. These people included Xianyuan I, the Ninth Prince, the purple-haired demonic duo, Zhao Yufei, Luo Zun, Mo Dongyao, and company. There are more than a dozen kings that want to try. There's no harm in trying. Xian Wuheng didn't object. As long as we retreat, there won't be any danger to our lives within the Evil Sky Tower. However, there might be some special circumstances. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, these figures all charged into the Evil Sky Tower. After all, the Evil Sky Tower was where ancient god Xieyang cultivated and lived. It was the core of Xieyang Palace. The others gathered in front of the God's Array Building and worked together to break through it and try to enter the core. Even if I can only see the power of a god, it's still beneficial. Xianyuan Wen's figure flashed as he entered the Evil Sky Tower at his fastest speed. Behind him, the Ninth Prince, Zhao Yufei, the purple-haired demonic duo, and company. The Ninth Prince was originally ranked 13th on the Imperial Genius rankings, but his cultivation broke through to the peak king level after entering Xieyang Palace. The instant they entered the Evil Sky Tower, a wicked aura that seemed to look down on heaven and earth appeared. It was as if heaven and earth were collapsing. The blood of the kings with weaker foundations started to churn, and they almost spat out blood. Zhao Feng's body sank. He felt as if the true yuan within his body had instantly frozen, and he was unable to circulate it. My true yuan is almost frozen. Some Void God Realm kings found it extremely difficult to enter the tower. Zhao Feng's true yuan was the weakest, so he gave up on controlling it and allowed the aura to suppress him. Chapter 857. Inside the Evil Sky Tower, the sinister and terrifying aura had an absolute suppression on the true yuan of ordinary experts. The Void God Realm kings present felt as if the true yuan in their bodies had been locked down. The more one resisted, the more powerful that invisible oppressive might would be. Therefore, Zhao Feng made a very smart decision. He didn't care about the true yuan in his body and allowed the aura to suppress him. In this situation, he felt less pressure. Wah, plop. On the other hand, one of the Void God Realm kings instinctively circulated his true yuan and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. The difference in strength was shown as soon as they entered the Evil Sky Tower. The people at the very front were Xianyuan I, Zhao Feng, Nin Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. After them were the peak-tier kings like the Ninth Prince and company. Behind them were domain-level kings like Luo Zun and the normal kings. The power within the Evil Sky Tower isn't something we can touch. No wonder even Xian Wuheng failed. Some of the normal kings only took a few steps, and their faces became bright red as they started to plan on retreating. They could only watch as the people at the very front went deeper and deeper. The purple-haired demonic duo can walk to the very front. Zhao Feng's cultivation hasn't even reached the king level yet. Luo Zun had an unhappy expression. Xianyuan was able to walk to the very front because his cultivation was the strongest. Being an emperor of a 4-star power, his strength surpassed normal emperors. Zhao Yufei had the spiritual race bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races, so her body was extremely unique. Mo Dongyao also had the protection of the ancient god weapon, so it was reasonable. However, it was incredible that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were able to walk to the very front. Comparatively speaking, that aura suppresses true Yuan the most, followed by soul, intent, and physical body. Zhao Feng was very calm. In terms of soul intent, only Xian Yuan one could be compared to him. In terms of physical body, Zhao Feng's 5th level of the sacred lightning body could crush almost all the other kings present. After completely giving up control of his true essence, Zhao Feng was actually more relaxed than most people. Of course, Nan Gongsheng was the most unreasonable. Nan Gongsheng's cultivation, body, and soul intent weren't at the peak, but he was at the very front. Furthermore, as he walked, there was a sense of elegance in his steps, and the evil energy in his body became restless and active. Zhao Feng realized that the wicked aura within the evil sky tower didn't seem to have any effect on Nan Gongsheng. Nan Gongsheng licked his lips with excitement and anticipation. After a while, the group of kings slowly entered the 2nd floor of the evil sky tower. The 2nd floor of the evil sky tower. Everyone discovered some valuable treasures. There was a table, a chair, a book, and a painting in front of them. They were all extraordinary. Some of the items emitted an aura that wasn't any weaker than a demigod artifact. However, the god's forbidden formation in the evil sky tower was complete, and there were almost no flaws. Even if there were traces to follow, under the suppression of the remnant god power, no one would be able to obtain them. The pressure on the 2nd layer was obviously much greater than that of the 1st layer. The 5 at the very front weren't too bad. The elite kings at the back felt pressured, and their breathing quickened. Apart from the unique suppression of true Yuan, the suppression of the evil sky tower isn't as strong as the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng's expression didn't change. He often entered the ancient dream realm to get used to the powerful pressure there. With his powerful body and soul intent, it wasn't too hard for him to walk in the evil sky tower. 15 minutes later, the 5 geniuses at the very front stepped onto the 3rd floor of the evil sky tower. The scenery of the 3rd floor changed once again, but it was still related to the life of the owner of the evil sky tower. No one had the time to pay attention to it, and they advanced step by step under the pressure. At this moment, the normal kings at the back had already retreated in defeat. If they forced themselves, they might not even have the energy to leave. Xian Yuan 1 and the other 4 didn't know how many floors there were in the evil sky tower, so they continued to climb. A while later, Xian Yuan 1, Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao stepped onto the 5th floor. At this moment, sweat appeared on the forehead of someone as strong as Xian Yuan 1, and Zhao Yufei's breathing quickened as her face went red. Everyone, I'll stay on the 5th floor for now. Xian Yuan gave a faint smile and suddenly sat down on the ground. The other 4 paused. Xian Yuan was clearly the strongest, so why wasn't he persisting? This aura doesn't fit with my cultivation system. I just want to stay here and feel the remnant aura of a god. Shyness appeared on Xian Yuan's handsome face. Understanding appeared on Zhao Feng's face. He faintly understood why Xian Wuheng had failed. There were many fortunes within Xieyang Palace, but not all of them were suitable for everyone. Xian Yuan's Sky Suspension Palace was a 4-star superpower of the righteous Tao, and the wicked aura within the evil sky tower didn't fit with his cultivation system. Instead of taking the risk, it was better to retreat and feel the remnant aura of a god. The so-called heavenly divine realm was a realm that surpassed mortals and belonged to the realm of gods. Legends. After the mystic light realm was the heavenly divine realm. Once one broke through this realm and went through the god tribulation, they would receive the recognition of heaven and earth and become a god. The ancient god Xieyang was a god expert, and according to the legends, every god had their own divine realm. However, this was a legend for normal experts. The remnant aura of a god within the evil sky tower obviously made the hearts of some king geniuses jump. If they could obtain this power, they might be able to touch the domain of gods. Even emperors and mystic light realm sacred lords couldn't resist this temptation. It's a rare chance to feel the power of a god. Xin Yuanwen closed his eyes. After that, only 4 people remained at the first tier: Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. Zhao Yufei's face was slightly pale white when she stepped onto the 6th floor, but her spiritual race body was extremely unique and had strong resistance. As for Mo Dongyao, she relied on the ancient god weapon to protect herself. Yufei, Lady Mo, why did you give up for now? The fortune in the evil sky tower is unpredictable, and it might not be suitable for you. Zhao Feng said. Even he might not have been able to reach the next level. Brother Feng, senior martial brother Nan Gongsheng, be careful. Zhao Yufei didn't continue. Maybe her spiritual race bloodline had a lot of potential, and she could climb even higher. However, she could tell that the fortune in the evil sky tower wasn't suitable for her. Sorry, I need to continue. This is what Senior Sword Saint wants. Mo Dongyao replied. The tattered, ancient god, sword in her hand, released a faint green whirlpool that protected her. Fine. Zhao Feng didn't force it. After the little sword, Saint gave up his physical body and soul to merge with the ancient god weapon. His cultivation and mastery of the Tao of the sword had reached an unbelievable level. Ta! Only Zhao Feng and company were left within the evil sky tower, and they were slowly advancing. Along the way, the purple and blood-colored symbol on Nan Gongsheng's forehead started to flash. His hair was completely purple and blood-colored, and it was different from Zhao Feng's dreamy purple hair. Wang, a layer of purple and blood-colored silver, appeared on Nan Gongsheng's body, and the power within his body started to move restlessly. Of the 3, Nan Gongsheng walked at the very front. This was because the wicked and terrifying aura of a god within the evil sky tower didn't suppress him much. On the 7th floor, Nan Gongsheng stopped. A cold voice sounded from behind him. It came from the purple-haired youth covered in golden tattoos. Zhao Feng. The excitement and urgency on Nan Gongsheng's face suddenly cooled down, and he felt a coldness that could freeze his soul. At this moment, the purple-haired youth's left eye was like a freezing pond that froze Nan Gongsheng's soul. How is this possible? He can still use his eye bloodline in the evil sky tower? Mo Dongyao was in disbelief. Under the pressure of the evil sky tower's god power, her sword Tao intent couldn't even leave her body. Her other powers were even harder to use. However, this youth was still able to use his eye bloodline in this situation. Nan Gongsheng's body shook under the gaze of Zhao Feng's left eye, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Who? Nan Gongsheng took a deep breath. His back was covered in sweat as he sat down and started to calm down. Zhao Feng, it's all thanks to you just now. Nan Gongsheng's expression was complicated, but it was filled with gratitude. At this moment, Zhao Feng's left eye had opened, and his purple hair blew in the wind. He radiated an ancient aura that made gods and devils avoid him. Even the remnant aura of a god within the evil sky tower couldn't suppress it. It didn't even dare to get close. The ancient is broken, and the ancient gods fall, turning into trillions of dust. An ancient sigh seemed to resound in Zhao Feng's mind. Pung, pung. In that instant, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye started to twitch, and the wicked aura nearby started to tremble uneasily. At the same time, on the highest floor of the evil sky tower, a transparent purple and blood-colored figure exclaimed, "The aura of an ancient god. What does that eye bloodline have to do with the 8 great god eyes?" At this moment in time, the gloomy and terrifying aura in the evil sky tower lessened. The 7th floor, Nan Gongsheng's eyes started to clear, and his expression became calm as he nodded his head solemnly. Let's go. The trio continued to head deeper into the evil sky tower. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. After who knew how many floors, Zhao Feng and company finally reached the top. The top floor of the evil sky tower was empty. One could only see a black futon with the naked eye. The pressure from the deity's seat at the top had reached an extreme. Zhao Feng's body became stiff and heavy. He was almost unable to move, and even breathing was extremely difficult. Luckily, his god spiritual was the only place that wasn't affected. Watch out! Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he felt a powerful mental energy body. Even with his god's spiritual eye's immunity to the soul, he still felt uneasy. Immediately, his left eye began to scan the area, but his senses were blocked off by the remaining force of the evil god. Ta! The purple and blood-colored symbol on Nan Gongsheng's forehead started to throb, and an extremely strong and intimate call made him walk toward the black futon at the center of the top floor. Zhao Feng used his bloodline's secret technique to try and stop him, but he was blocked by the remnant power of the evil god. He and Mo Dongyao watched as Nan Gongsheng walked up to the black futon and sat down on it as if he was the owner of the place. Boom! The instant Nan Gongsheng sat on the futon, the remnant god power within the evil sky tower shook, and space itself seemed to collapse. A forbidden aura swept across Xieyang Palace with the evil sky tower as the center and made countless beings tremble. Chapter 858. In an instant, the remaining god power within the evil sky tower started to shake. Zhao Feng and Mo Dongyao saw wisps of purple and blood-colored divine light coming from every corner of the evil sky tower and gathering on the black futon at the very center of the top floor. Nan Gongsheng was sitting on the black futon. Pung, pung. There seemed to be an invisible source within his body that turned into a heart that caused the wisps of purple and blood-colored divine light to gather. At the same time, a forbidden and terrifying power of the evil god instantly swept across Xieyang Palace with the evil sky tower as the center. Within the evil sky tower, Xin Yuan 1, Zhao Yufei, and company, who were comprehending, felt a suffocating pressure. The true Yuan, blood, and even the air within their bodies seemed to freeze. What's going on? The remaining god power of the evil sky tower is gathering at the top floor. Xin Yuan was stunned. He had been comprehending the remaining god power within the evil sky tower for the past 2 days. Xin Yuan found that the remaining god power didn't belong to anyone. It was hidden within the evil sky tower itself. Because the remnant deity power belonged to an ownerless power, it gradually dissipated over the countless years and became extremely thin. However, even though the remnant god power was extremely thin, its level was still far above that of normal monarchs and emperors. Even if an ordinary holy lord were to descend, they would face a certain degree of suppression. Behind the evil sky tower, the groups from Sky Suspension Palace, the Imperials, Nine Darkness Palace, Sky Sword Pavilion, the Duanmu family, and other forces gathered in front of a sealed dark silver metallic building. This sealed metallic building was the God's Array building, and it was the core of the God's Forbidden Array within Xieyang Palace. In front of the God's Array building, Xian Wuheng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge stood at the very front, and there were several array masters nearby. There was a 5-colored whirlpool array in the middle of them. Wang, the other kings formed a long line and merged their true yuan into the shoulder of the king in front of them. Surges of true yuan were sent into the 5-colored whirlpool array in front of Xian Wuheng and company. Xian Wuheng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge stood in front of the 5-colored whirlpool array and used a profound technique to control the power within. Pong! A twisted seal mark shot out from the 5-colored formation whirlpool and fused into the God's Array building. Buzz! The surface of the God's Array pagoda rippled with shocking divine runes, and a terrifying aura suffocated everyone present. However, on the surface of the dark gold pavilion, there was a door frame with white lines. The probing is almost done. Just a little bit more. Xian Wuheng let out a long breath. I didn't expect Brother Xian to be proficient in the Heaven Secret's secret method as well. Senior Brother Zhuge looked surprised. I only know a little about a branch of the heavenly mystery secret method, which is far less comprehensive than Brother Zhuge. Xi and Wuheng looked humble. If it was just him alone, even if he had the dermic access, it would be very difficult for him to find the way to open the God's Array Tower. Fortunately, Senior Brother Zhuge was also a rare genius with profound knowledge. His attainments in the heavenly secret technique were even more comprehensive. After summoning all of the king's power, they finally found a breakthrough point. Xi and Wuheng frowned, his eyes glittering as he looked at the Evil Sky Tower on the opposite side. Suddenly, within the Evil Sky Tower, a forbidden ripple of God power swept out in every direction and instantly covered the entire Xieyang Palace. That power! The expressions of the kings present changed dramatically, and they became unsteady as if they were in the middle of a tsunami. The instant the forbidden aura arrived, the powers within everyone's bodies seemed to freeze. The kings in front of the God's Array Tower froze like zombies. Only Xi and Wuheng, Senior Brother Zhuge, and a few others could barely see what was happening. The remnant God power within the Evil Sky Tower seems to have been summoned by something and is starting to awaken. Xi and Wuheng's eyes twinkled. He had explored the Evil Sky Tower before, so he had a certain understanding of the structure within. In the Evil Sky Tower, Xi and Wuheng had also discovered the remnant God power without an owner. However, even if he knew about the God power, he wouldn't be able to obtain it without a fortuitous encounter. He wouldn't even dare to touch it, or else he would be doomed. Unless someone's power system was the same as ancient God Xieyang's, then there would be a sliver of hope. Xi and Wuheng's cultivation system was completely different from this power, so he couldn't inherit it. In fact, he had to hide far away from it. Furthermore, Xi and Wuheng could faintly feel a mental energy aura that could affect the remnant God power within the Evil Sky Tower. Therefore, he gave up on exploring the Evil Sky Tower and didn't want to take the risk. Outside Xieyang Palace, bam, boom. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's black-scaled body was smashing against the God's Forbidden Array. More and more flaws appeared in the God's Forbidden Array, and the purple and blood-colored light on its surface wasn't as strong as before. There's a faint disturbance of God power. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon suddenly stopped. A hint of fear and bewilderment appeared on its face. The forbidden disturbance of the evil god's power even reached outside Xieyang Palace. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon didn't move, but a solemn expression appeared in its pitch-black eyes. Even though the disturbance of God power was extremely faint and didn't put it in its eyes when it was at its peak. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had been sealed for who knows how many years, and its power was extremely weak. Adding on the restrictions of a Yuan sealing divine chains, it couldn't use many secret techniques. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon couldn't see what was happening at the top of the Evil Sky Tower. The marks of destruction on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had been dissolved long ago, and the mark of immortality within Imo Dongyao body had been wiped away by the Little Sword Saint's ancient god weapon. Therefore, apart from the three of them, no one else could see what was happening at the top of the Evil Sky Tower. At the top of the Evil Sky Tower, Zhao Feng and Imo Dongyao looked at the shocking scene in front of them. Nan Gongsheng sat on the black futon, and all the flashing purple and blood-colored divine symbols in the Evil Sky Tower gathered on his body. The purple and blood-colored symbol on Nan Gongsheng's forehead was eye-catching, like a second beating heart. On top of that, on his face and skin, there were some devilish, bright red patterns of purplish blood. Whoosh! Pain appeared on Nan Gongsheng's face as he stood within a purple and blood-colored spatial projection. The walls of the dimension glittered with silver light. However, at this moment in time, the original spatial domain started to quickly solidify as the purple and blood-colored divine symbols merged into it. Little world, evil god crystal, Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I saw some things. In just a few breaths, Nan Gongsheng's original spatial domain had turned into a silver-walled little world covered in purple and blood-colored divine light. The purple and blood-color divine symbols from the evil sky tower all entered the evil god crystal in the center of the little world and connected to Nan Gongxing's source of power. Damn it, Nan Gongxing's intent has been affected. Zhao Feng felt a wicked mental energy undulation from the black futon and the purple and blood-colored divine symbols in the evil sky tower merge into Nan Gongxing's source of power. Nan Gongxing's face twisted, and the purple and blood-colored divine symbols on his skin became brighter. "Who are you?" Zhao Feng circulated his eye intent, and several hundred god tribulation symbols in his soul suddenly lit up. However, Zhao Feng only used his eye intent to threaten and not attack. If that mental energy power had taken over Nan Gongxing's body, Zhao Feng and Mo Dongyao might have been able to stop it. However, that power seemed to be on guard and hid within the black futon before merging into Nan Gongxing's body along with the purple and blood-colored divine symbols. Zhe, God tribulation power? The aura of an ancient god is indeed surprising. Another voice sounded within Nan Gongxing's body. Nan Gongxing's body was being assimilated by the divine power, and his spatial domain and source of power were both being assimilated. At this moment, even his mental energy and personality were being assimilated. Mental energy thought body. An old voice sounded from behind. Wang, an immortal sword intent that could slay heaven and earth, appeared from the ancient god weapon in Mo Dongyao hand. At the same time, behind Mo Dongyao, a brilliant, translucent shadow of a sword appeared, and the old silhouette of the little sword saint could be vaguely seen. Mental energy thought body. Zhao Feng couldn't help but start a guess. Mental energy thoughts were similar to demigod partial thoughts, but they were more complete and contained a certain amount of mental energy. They could form a spiritual body and affect the outside world greatly. That's right. I'm the mental energy thought body left behind by the ancient god Xieyang. A half-transparent purple and blood-colored figure appeared within Nan Gongxing's body. This purple and blood-colored figure was a unique mental energy form. It wasn't a soul or intent, but an intent that could affect the outside world. Not bad. Zhao Feng let out a breath. If this was the intent of the ancient god Xieyang, then it would be bad. The intent of an ancient god could control the life and death of others with just one thought, and it could even control the entire Xieyang palace. It was similar to the demigod intent in the demigod Forgotten Garden. However, it was obvious that there wasn't any ancient god intent in Xieyang Palace. It was an ownerless god palace. On the other hand, a pure mental energy thought body didn't have a soul, so it couldn't take over other targets. However, it had the power to demonize living beings. I can't believe you humans can give me such a pleasant surprise. This person's domain and core have merged a divine power crystal from the owner of Xieyang Palace. This person will become the new host for the remnant god power in the evil sky tower, and my mental energy thought body will be reborn. The half-transparent purple and blood-colored figure laughed smugly before turning back into pieces and merging back into the source of power within Nan Gongxing's body. Hearing that, Zhao Feng's expression changed dramatically as he understood what the evil god mental thought body was trying to do. Although the evil god mental thought body couldn't take over Nan Gongxing's body, it could turn Nan Gongxing into another person. At that time, Nan Gongxing would still be Nan Gongxing, but his personality wouldn't be the same. It's just a measly mental thought body. I won't let Nan Gongxing be turned into another ancient god Xieyang. Zhao Feng snickered coldly. Gaze of the gods. A bottomless purple whirlpool formed in the youth's left eye, and it connected to a limitless purple abyss. Instantly, a forbidden force that targeted the soul and mental energy covered Nan Gongxing's body. This level of soul extraction isn't enough to threaten me. The evil god mental thought body within Nan Gongxing's body laughed. Its mental energy was extremely strong, and it was even stronger than Peak Emperor's. At the very least, it was comparable to a mystic light realm, Sacred Lord. Who said I was going to extract your soul? In the next instant, a silver and purple soul tried to leave Nan Gongxing's body. Nan Gongxing's soul, Mo Dongyao exclaimed in disbelief. What? Stop! The evil god mental thought body roared in anger as its wicked mental energy covered the entire area. After all, it was a mental thought body. It could change the thoughts of living beings in the outside world, but it couldn't take over a body. Once Nan Gongxing's soul was taken away, all of its plans would be for nothing. It couldn't just turn into a soulless body, right? Instead of letting Nan Gongxing be corrupted and turn into another person, why don't you just give his soul to me? Why don't you give his soul to me for now? The purple-haired youth's eyes were like purple lightning, and he said the last few words one at a time. Chapter 859. Rather than letting Nan Gongxing be corrupted and turn into another personality, why don't you just give his soul to me? Why don't you hand over his soul to me for safekeeping? Zhao Feng's tone was sharp, and his domineering determination made Mo Dongyao's heart shake. Her face was filled with shock and disbelief. Zhao Feng would use such an extreme method to extract Nan Gongxing's soul. However, this move was extremely effective, and it instantly made the evil god mental thought body enraged and panicked. Being a mental thought body, it wasn't a soul, so it couldn't control or corrupt a body that didn't have any thoughts. Gaze of the gods, more than half of Nan Gongxing's silver and purple yuan soul was pulled out of his body. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongxing's soul struggled in the air, and his face was filled with fear and panic. Anyone else would fall in a panic when their soul was being controlled by someone else. Nan Gongxing, you can't blame Zhao Feng. You should thank him for his good intentions. If you don't have your own personality and personality, what's the point of having invincible power? An old voice sounded from the white sword light behind Mo Dongyao. The white sword light formed the outline of the white-bearded little sword saint. His tone was certain, and he agreed with what Zhao Feng was doing. Indeed, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had fought side by side, and they were trustworthy friends. But Nan Gongxing had lost his personality because of his power. Then, Zhao Feng would rather take away Nan Gongxing's soul and keep his personality. Nan Gongxing, the reason why Senior Sword Saint came was to prevent you from being twisted by the power of the evil god and becoming a huge threat. If that's the case, he'll personally come and kill you. Mo Dongyao said. Hearing that, the hearts of both Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing went cold. After merging with the ancient god weapon, the little sword saint had reached an unfathomable level. If he wanted to kill Nan Gongxing, even Zhao Feng might not be able to stop him. Nan Gongxing, don't worry. Even if you don't have this body, I still have a lot of spirit flesh snow jade roots. Zhao Feng said calmly. Spirit flesh, snow, jade root. The white sword shadow behind Mo Dongyao's back trembled slightly. Unfortunately, he had already missed the best opportunity. It would be difficult for him to use Shinjuku's reincarnation. Whoosh! Nan Gongxing's soul finally left his body, even though he was struggling and unwilling. Although the spirit flesh, snow jade lotus root could create a new body, it might not be comparable to his empty spiritual body and heavenly spiritual body. Furthermore, this body of his had merged with the evil god crystal and the power of the godhood, and his spatial domain had been upgraded to a small world. All in all, Nan Gongxing was unwilling. Usually, recultivation was either done for the sake of greater potential in the future, unless it was a last resort. However, if Nan Gongxing recultivated, he would lose many of his advantages. Purple-black smoke suddenly rose from the black futon under Nan Gongxing's body. Not good. Without the control of the soul will, the converging god power became ownerless once again. Without a host, it would scatter for real. And I will. The evil god mental thought body within Nan Gongxing's body panicked and became angry. One boom. A strong surge of mental energy instantly condensed around Nan Gongxing's body. A half-transparent purple and blood-colored figure that was 100 yards tall appeared on Nan Gongxing's body. Stay. Two transparent, purple and blood-colored hands extended from the purple and blood-colored figure. One of the purple and blood-colored hands grabbed toward Nan Gongxing's soul, while the other hand burned with purple and blood-colored flames as it slapped toward Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's soul instantly felt a cold and oppressive pressure. In this situation, most people would choose to give up on the gaze of the god, in order to protect their souls. In reality, Zhao Feng's gaze of the god, being interrupted, was unavoidable. Although the evil god mental thought body didn't have a soul, its mental energy surpassed peak emperors. The difference was, Zhao Feng gave up on the gaze of the god but he didn't defend himself. Instead, he circulated his soul intent and charged toward the evil god mental thought body. I was waiting for you. Several hundred symbols of god tribulation lightning in Zhao Feng's purple soul lit up. Rumble. Boom. A half-transparent bolt of purple lightning with a destructive aura stabbed into the purple and blood-colored figure that the evil god mental thought body was in. The evil god mental thought body instantly screamed. Zhao Feng's mastery of the soul was extraordinary, but the god tribulation lightning was able to injure the evil god mental thought body. At the same time, Zhao Feng also harumphed as he took on the purple and blood-colored flaming hand from the evil god mental thought body head-on. However, Zhao Feng was very confident in his god's spiritual eye's defense against soul attacks. He couldn't guarantee that he would be fine, but he wouldn't be fatally injured. Reality proved that. Although the mental energy of the evil god mental thought body was comparable to a mystic light realm sacred lord, it was still a mental thought body and not a soul. It was still lacking in terms of using the soul. Zhao Feng's soul was only slightly injured by the shockwave. Sword destroying the sky. An immortal sword intent that could slash through heaven and earth suddenly flashed through the air. The white figure that the little sword saint had turned into released a layer of soul sword intent that was enough to scare emperors and force mystic light realm sacred lords back. Wang, the ancient god's broken sword in Mo Dongyao's hand, slashed out a bright, translucent cyan sword light. It was like a blazing cyan rainbow, and with a poochie sound, it slashed the evil god's thought body. In that instant, the little sword saint's soul sword intent merged with the ancient god weapon and formed a power that could destroy both the physical and the soul. It instantly slashed through the evil god mental thought body and tore apart the purple and blood-colored figure. The mental energy mental thought body gave a heart-wrenching scream. What a terrifying soul sword attack. Nan Gongxing's soul fell into a state of fear. The remaining wisps of aura from that sword made him feel as if his soul could be destroyed at any moment. The power of the ancient god weapon had surpassed the level of an emperor, and the little sword saint's soul sword intent was enough to injure the soul of a mystic light realm sacred lord. Wind lightning eye flame. A surge of eye bloodline flames appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye, and purple light flashed with the symbols of god tribulation lightning. Boom! A ball of transparent dark lightning fire with the aura of god tribulation lightning exploded on the evil god mental thought body. Zhao Feng's wind lightning eye flame was a pure soul attack that used the power of god tribulation lightning. It arrived just as the purple and blood-colored figure was torn apart. It almost flipped the evil god mental thought body over. Rumble. Boom. The evil god mental thought body felt as if 10,000 bolts of lightning were exploding within its body, and the god tribulation lightning was still burning. Soul sword charge. The little sword saint's white sword light shadow suddenly expanded to several hundred meters. It was majestic and released a white crystal-like sword light that pierced through the enormous purple and blood-colored light shadow with pure soul sword intent. The evil god mental thought body was mercilessly attacked by the little sword saint, the ancient god weapon, and Zhao Feng, and it started to howl. Crack! At a certain moment, the purple and blood-colored figure shattered into countless dark purple and blood-colored sparks that merged into the source of power within Nan Gongxing's body. Gaze of the god eye. Zhao Feng used this chance to use a soul eye bloodline technique and pull Nan Gongxing's soul back. Hu whoosh. Right at this moment, the black futon under Nan Gongxing's body turned into a ball of dust. The purple and blood-color divine symbols that had gathered within his body started to spread and leak, and purple and blood-color divine light started to shine within the solidified little world. Nan Gongxing's little world started to show signs of collapsing. This power started to spread with Nan Gongxing's little world as the center, and it was enough to kill his body. Zhao Feng, let me go back. Nan Gongxing's soul started to struggle in front of Zhao Feng. Peng, peng, peng. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye started to twitch as he saw the danger brewing within Nan Gongxing's body. It wouldn't be a big deal if the remaining god power leaked out. At most, Nan Gongxing's body would be destroyed, and it would bring trouble to Zhao Feng and company. But if this power didn't leak out smoothly and suddenly exploded, then no one present would be able to survive, and it might even bring disaster to Xieyang Palace. You madman, stop! The shattered evil god mental thought body within Nan Gongxing's body screamed in fear. Once the leaking power exploded, the evil god mental thought body within Nan Gongxing's body would be the first to die. The evil god mental thought body has been temporarily destroyed, and its threat has decreased by a lot. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he made his choice. This wasn't just out of consideration for the danger, it was also out of respect for Nan Gongxing's choice. Shua! Nan Gongxing's yuan soul flashed and returned to his body, where it quickly stabilized the source of his power. Soon, the spreading power of the purple and blood-color divine symbols quickly calmed down, and the little world within Nan Gongxing's body started to calm down as well. During this period of time, not only did the evil god mental thought body not attack, it even merged into the purple and blood-color divine symbols and helped Nan Gongxing stabilize the leaking power. This lasted for half a day. The remaining power of the evil god within the evil sky tower disappeared, and most of it merged into Nan Gongxing's source of power and little world with the evil god mental thought body. After this, the aura of the evil god mental thought body was almost undetectable, as if it had been completely shattered and merged with Nan Gongxing's source of power. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he saw what the evil god mental thought body was trying to do. As if it was wary of Zhao Feng and the little sword saint, the evil god mental thought body didn't dare to go all out and affect Nan Gongxing. Instead, it merged with Nan Gongxing's power. At this moment, every time Nan Gongxing absorbed the power of his little world and little sword saint, his personality would be affected by the evil god mental thought body. This was a process of slowly changing. The more power Nan Gongxing obtained, the more his personality would be affected. In this situation, neither Zhao Feng nor the little sword saint could stop it unless they killed Nan Gongxing as well. At this moment, Nan Gongxing's eyes flashed with silver-purple light, and the purple and blood-colored symbol on his forehead became brighter and brighter. He instinctively licked his lips as a wicked and cold smile appeared on his face. Nan Gongxing, this is your choice. The price you pay for power. Zhao Feng murmured. Chapter 860. Top floor of the Evil Sky Tower. Nan Gongxing sat cross-legged on the ground, and his expression was slightly different than before. With the evil god crystal as the core, wisps of wicked purple and blood-colored light circulated and absorbed within his body. Zhao Feng and Mo Dongyao could clearly feel Nan Gongxing's aura become stronger and stronger. At the same time that his strength increased dramatically in a short amount of time, his personality also started to change and twist. In reality, in the process of cultivation, any expert's temperament would change little by little along with the growth of their cultivation and strength. However, Nan Gongxing's situation was very strong, and it was an unnatural change. What was more serious was that this change would affect his personality, and it could even turn him into someone else. And this was naturally related to the evil god mental thought body. Zhao Feng and the little sword saint had already destroyed the evil god mental thought body, But the mental energy of the mental thought body was extremely strong, and it wasn't a soul. Even after it was destroyed, it didn't disappear. What was most troublesome was that it had merged with Nan Gongseng's power without being able to differentiate between them. Of course, in Zhao Feng's view, he had already done all he could. If it wasn't for him, Nan Gongxing's personality might have been twisted into someone else, or he might have been killed by the little sword saint who had merged with the ancient god weapon. Zhao Feng, thank you for your support. I, Nan Gongsheng, will never forget this favor. Gratitude appeared on Nan Gongxing's wicked face as he struggled. It was obvious. He was also trying his best to resist the power that was affecting his personality. Zhao Feng and the white sword image behind Mo Donyao looked at each other and judged Nan Gongxing's current state. From the looks of it, Nan Gongxing's personality had been affected to a certain degree, but he still knew how to be grateful. From this, one could see that his personality hadn't changed. At the very least, his personality hadn't been replaced by the evil god mental thought body. I don't regret the choice I made today. Nan Gongsheng felt the limitless power in the depths of his body that seemed to be able to suppress heaven and earth, and a satisfied, wicked smile appeared on his face. How could there not be a price to pay for power? What he needed to do was to excavate this treasure of power bit by bit. Right now, Nan Gongsheng had only absorbed the tip of the iceberg, and his strength had increased dramatically. A while later, Zhao Feng finally spoke. Nan Gongsheng, I can only help you this much. No matter what deal you made with the evil god mental thought body, it all depends on you in the future. Hearing this, Nan Gongxing's body shook, and the evil god mental thought body in his body also gave a surprised exclamation. The two seemed to be surprised that Zhao Feng knew what they had made. After saying this, Zhao Feng turned around and walked down the evil sky tower. Mo Donyao stood there and looked coldly at Nan Gongsheng. She was unwilling, but she had to leave. Let's go. Without Zhao Feng's help, it'll be hard for us to deal with Nan Gongsheng. The Nan's gled saint of heaved in. God! Nan Gongxing's silver and purple eyes flashed as he watched Zhao Feng leave with complicated emotions. Zhe, that youth seems to be an unsurpassable peak in your heart. Don't worry. As long as you and I work together, we'll be able to surpass him soon. The evil god mental thought body clicked its tongue and said. Nan Gongsheng seemed to struggle, and he changed the topic. I didn't think that he would be able to see through our deal. Without my help, you wouldn't have been able to take care of the situation so easily and absorb the wisps of god power. It's not strange that that youth could see through it. The evil god mental thought body snickered coldly. On the top floor of the evil sky tower, Nan Gongsheng sat down, and his aura became stronger and stronger. In less than half a day, his cultivation easily broke through to the peak void god realm. If it weren't for the fact that emperors needed their souls to evolve, he would have become an emperor already. However, the power radiating from Nan Gongxing's body wasn't something that the void god realm could be compared to. Even a mystic light realm sacred lord would be moved. At the same time, the others within the evil sky tower had already left. Xin Yuanwen was stunned by the god power at the top and didn't want to take the risk. After all, the aura didn't fit with his system, so it wasn't worth taking the risk. However, on the way back, Zhao Feng met Zhao Yufei, who was trying to go up. Brother Feng, it's good that you're fine. Zhao Yufei let out a long breath and seemed to be scared. Before, the aura from the god power at the top of the evil sky tower was terrifying. Even now, there was still a frightening power at the top of the evil sky tower that was enough to scare emperors. A while later, Zhao Feng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Donyao walked out of the evil sky tower. How come I don't see Nan Gongsheng? Zhao Yufei finally realized something. Mo Donyao wanted to say something, but she didn't say anything. If people knew that Nan Gongsheng had inherited some of the remaining divine power of the ancient god Xieyang and was affected by the evil god mental thought body, who knew what kind of impact it would have? Nan Gongsheng will come down soon. Zhao Feng was certain. Everyone was facing the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon together. Neither Nan Gongsheng nor the evil young mental thought body could ignore this danger. He calculated the time. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would only need 17 to 18 days to enter Xieyang Palace. The faint roar of a dragon and the aura of destruction outside Xieyang Palace made those with strong senses feel danger. Sung, whoosh, whoosh. Zhao Feng and company quickly headed toward the God's Array building behind them after coming down. When Zhao Feng arrived at the God's Array building, the human experts of many forces had already gathered there. Inside the God's Formation Tower was the hub of the God's Forbidden Formation. This concerned the life and death of many outsiders in the manor. At this moment, 90% of the groups that entered Xieyang Palace had arrived. The God's Array building has opened. Mo Dongyao revealed a joyful expression as she looked at the shining white door frame in front of the dark silver building. There were almost 10 void God Realm Kings in front of the white door frame, and they were all pouring their true yuan into it to keep it open and prevent it from closing. Within the God's Array building, Xi and Wuheng, senior martial brother Zhuge, and some array masters were gathered together and discussing something. Although we've successfully entered the God's Array building, this place is the core of the God's Forbidden Array, and the arrays here are extremely complex. It will take a long time to break through and control them. An array master from the Imperial side. Above everyone's heads, they could see a huge, three-dimensional formation made up of densely packed purple crystal electropatterns. The purple crystal lightning array was constantly changing as countless arcs of lightning flashed and moved. The complicated lines within the array connected to the God's Forbidden Array that covered the entire Xieyang Palace. The space within the God's Array building was extremely big. It was comparable to a small castle. Furthermore, these flashing arrays contained frightening power. Just a sliver of it could kill a king. The people in the building were studying the amethyst electric rune formation, which was very dangerous to begin with. Zhao Feng and company were dazed when they stepped into the God's Array building. Watch out! The God's Forbidden Array has been running for countless years, and there are some flaws. Occasionally, a wisp of power will fall down. Senior martial brother Zhuge warned. Some holes could be seen under the purple crystalline lightning array. The God's Array building was made of metal that even normal emperors would find hard to damage. What a large and complex array core. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed after seeing it with his god's spiritual eye. With Xin Yuan 1, senior martial brother Zhuge, and company leading the array masters and kings, they couldn't find a breakthrough even after a long time. Even if they had some ideas, they didn't dare to do it easily. This was because the array core contained limitless power that affected the entire God's Forbidden Array within Xieyang Palace. Just a wisp of the shockwave from the array could kill kings and emperors. This place was definitely the core forbidden ground of Xieyang Palace. Don't try to break the array core to earn the forgiveness of the Black Serpent Dragon. The array here has a self-protection mechanism, and the backlash is beyond what any of us can handle. Xin Wuheng warned. His eyes flitted over Zhao Feng's group of 3, and there was a hint of surprise in them. It was as if he was curious why Nan Gongsheng, who was always by Zhao Feng's side, didn't show up after entering the evil Sky Tower. Zhao Feng didn't explain anything. He opened his left eye bloodline and started to analyze the purple crystalline lightning array to help Xin Wuheng, senior martial brother Zhuge, and company solve it. Zhao Feng's help allowed them to make some progress in deciphering the array. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 days passed. Under Zhao Feng's analysis, the principles of the purple crystalline lightning array were revealed. However, with everyone's hard work, they only managed to understand the principles of the God's Forbidden Array. There is still a long way to go if they wanted to break or control the God's Forbidden Array. After all, this is the domain of gods. Senior martial brother Zhuge started to think, and exhaustion appeared on his face. In front of the God's Array building, the kings and half-step kings were in a tense atmosphere. There were only 10 days left before the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon charged into Xieyang Palace. 10 more days. Many elites within Xieyang Palace felt the danger of death slowly approaching. Zhao Feng and Xin Yuan both had emperor intent, so they could feel the destructive draconic might that was becoming clearer and clearer. The power of the god's forbidden array in Xieyang Palace started to dim and weaken. Arg, Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, I'll kill you. In the final 10 days, some experts and elites even felt despair. Under extreme pressure, they let out long roars and madly attacked. I have the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world. I might be able to escape if the god's forbidden array is mostly destroyed. Zhao Feng was already planning how to escape. The misty spatial world had the ability to pass through space and even teleport. However, he had to wait until the god's forbidden array was about to collapse and the restriction was at its weakest. This plan still had a lot of risks and limitations. Apart from that, Zhao Feng had another plan that he was waiting for. On the same afternoon, a beam of devilish purple and blood-colored light descended from the sky, carrying with it a monstrous evil aura. Who's there? The kings and half-step kings in front of the god's array building felt a suffocating pressure. In that instant, the true Yuan within their bodies started to tremble, and they were almost unable to control their own power. Wah! The half-step kings all spat out blood. Shwa! Everyone looked in shock at a wicked youth with purple and blood-colored hair. A bright purple and blood-colored symbol appeared on his forehead as he landed on the ground. One of the demonic duo, Nan Gongsheng. How did he become like this? The Void God Realm Kings felt a terrifying surge of power and found it hard to breathe. Chapter 861. Nan Gongsheng was even taller than before, and his eyes were silver purple. He had purple and blood-colored hair, and purple and blood-color patterns could be seen on his skin. A wicked and cruel smile appeared on his face as he radiated a terrifying aura that threatened all the kings present. Many of the geniuses present found it hard to breathe, and the true Yuan of some kings started to freeze. They were unable to move. Luckily, the wicked and terrifying aura only descended for an instant before being mostly retracted. Who? The geniuses and elites outside the God's Array building let out a breath as they watched Nan Gongsheng walk toward the God's Array building. Everyone watch out! Zhou Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace said in a deep tone. This brat's aura is weird, and it's extremely close to the remnant god power within the evil sky tower. He's probably already been assimilated by the power of the evil god, and his personality has become twisted. Hearing that, the experts of the other groups broke into an uproar as they looked at Nan Gongsheng with hostility and wariness. Zhou Wuji's eyes twinkled as a cold light flashed through his face. He had entered the evil sky tower before and guessed that Nan Gongsheng might have inherited the remnant power of an ancient god. That's right. I've also entered the evil sky tower. No wonder the aura from the evil sky tower doesn't exist anymore. The kings outside the God's Array building all agreed, and their gazes toward Nan Gongsheng were filled with greed. No matter what, Nan Gongsheng had touched the domain of gods and even obtained the inheritance of the ancient god Xieyang. How could they not be jealous? Furthermore, the purple-haired demonic duo had offended many forces. Everyone, let's team up and capture this brat so that we can interrogate him about the secrets of the ancient god Xieyang. Zhou Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace suggested. There were at least 20 to 30 Void God Realm Kings gathered in front of the God's Array building. Even an emperor would have to retreat when so many kings teamed up, let alone Nan Gongsheng, who had just reached the peak tier king level. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Figures instantly flashed. A peak tier king, led by Zhou Wuji and 6 domain level kings, took action first. Zhou Wuji had battle power against those below Emperor even before he broke through to the peak tier king realm. Demonic Sky Hand, Zhou Wuji exclaimed as one of his arms started to burn and expand, turning into a giant black hand that shot toward Nan Gongsheng with a surge of black flames. The pitch-black giant hand was covered in roiling demonic flames. It was several dozen meters long and wide, and it stretched out from an abyssal vortex filled with demonic chi. Its power was more than twice as strong as before. This Jiao Wuji's Demon Sky art has actually reached the 16th level. The power of the Demon Sky hand has increased by another level. The geniuses from the other sects cheered. This was only because Xieyang Palace oppressed all power. If it was in the outside world, this palm would definitely shake heaven and earth. Without a doubt, at this moment, Jiao Wuji was able to fight back against emperors. Boom! Bang! There were also 6 domain-level kings, many of whom had the battle prowess of a peak-tier king. Ha ha ha! Let's attack together and kill this thief. Some of the nearby kings couldn't help but take action to vent their anger at the demonic duo. Rumble! Boom! The attacks of the kings, including Jiao Wuji, landed on Nan Gongsheng's body. A bunch of ants. A cruel expression appeared on Nan Gongsheng's face, and his voice was cold as he paused between each word. He stood still and didn't dodge, allowing the attacks to land on his body. Boom! With Nan Gongsheng at the center, a twisting layer of silver-purple divine light created a series of afterimages. It was like an ancient demon that roared and crushed everything around it. Crack! Jiao Wuji's flaming demon sky hand started to shatter, and the attacks of the other kings were like paper. Immediately after, the entire field was filled with ghostly wails and wolf howls, and the screams were endless. Bam! 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 The 7 kings led by Jiao Wuji were sent flying by a dominating power that could suppress heaven and earth. How is this possible? Jiao Wuji's face was filled with shock as he spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. He couldn't fight back at all. This terrifying power was absolute. Wah! Wah! Several kings spat out mouthfuls of blood as they were sent flying and fainted on the ground. Arg! 2 or 3 kings and a dozen half-step kings died on the spot under the shock waves and piercing force. All of this happened in just a breath or two. Sii. The geniuses and elites all took in cold breaths and were dazed. What level of power is this? Just the backlash of True Yuan was able to send Jiao Wuji flying and kill several kings and more than a dozen half-step kings. The backs of some of the experts nearby were drenched in cold sweat. Jiao Wuji fell to the ground, and his eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. Those who offend me will be killed. A cruel and bloodthirsty smile appeared on Nan Gongsheng's face as his cold eyes scanned over Jiao Wuji and the experts of 9 Darkness Palace behind him. Everyone watch out! Jiao Wuji's expression changed as the demonic Dao True Yuan around his body started to boil. Demonic Sky Force Field. Jiao Wuji stood proudly in the air as a black force field appeared around him. This demonic sky force field was Jiao Wuji's ultimate defensive technique. It could be used against groups of people, and it could absorb as much power as possible. However, his demonic sky force field had just formed when it started to change. Die. A series of silver and purple afterimages created a blood-colored ripple that landed on Jiao Wuji's body. Arg! A blood-curdling scream came to an end. Jiao Wuji's body had turned into a puddle of blood. Even his Yuan's soul had been instantly destroyed. Jiao Wuji, Senior Jiao. The expressions of the other geniuses and elites of 9 Darkness Palace changed dramatically. The hairs of some of the nearby forces stood on end as a coldness spread from their feet to their entire bodies. The expressions of those that had attacked Nan Gongsheng earlier went pale white. Terrifying. He killed Jiao Wuji in one move. What kind of power is this? Did Nan Gongsheng really inherit the power of the evil god? Everyone fell into deathly silence after a moment of panic. This scene even shocked some of the Imperials and Sky Suspension Palace experts within the God's Array building. What terrifying power! It comes from the same source as the evil Sky Tower. Xin Yuan Wen's expression became solemn. Zhao Feng, Xi and Wuheng, and company also looked over. Then they witnessed a bloody massacre. Arg! The remaining kings and half-step kings from 9 Darkness Palace screamed as they were crushed into a puddle of blood by the silver and purple afterimages. Nan Gongsheng's attacks were extremely unique, and they crushed both the physical body and the soul. Both the physical body and the spiritual body were killed. How is this possible? This is a unique characteristic that only mystic light, sacred power can have. The true Yuan and bloodline within the ninth prince's body started to tremble. A solemn expression appeared on the faces of Xian Wuheng and Xian Yuan. At this moment, Nan Gongxing's aura was terrifying and beyond logic. A breath or two later, the entire group of elites from Nine Darkness Palace was uprooted by Nan Gongsheng. Next, Nan Gongsheng licked his lips and revealed a wicked and cold smile as he glanced at the kings that had attacked just now. Arg! The souls of the kings that had attacked just now flew away in fear. They didn't even care about their injuries. Bam! Bam! Nan Gongsheng raised his hand and killed several kings like he was crushing ants, including some half-step kings. Stop! The apricot-robed female from Sky Suspension Palace, Luo Zun from the Imperials, the Eighth Prince, the Wrinkled Elder, and the other kings all tried to stop him. Bam! 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 These powerful kings were sent flying by a wave of silver and purple afterimages before they could even get close. Sacred Emperor's Sword. The Ninth Prince yelled as he drew out a dazzling golden sword. Arg! Before he could make a move, he was sent flying by a layer of devilish silver and purple afterimages that emanated bloody ripples. Chaos broke out outside the God's Array building. At the same time, the white door frame of the God's Array building started to close after losing the power of the kings. Stop! Xian Yuan reached out and stabilized the white door frame, and an emperor intent that shook the sky charged toward Nan Gongsheng. Nan Gongxing's footsteps paused as he licked his lips and looked at the only emperor present, Xian Yuan. The pressure from the emperor intent didn't affect him at all. On the contrary, this increased Nan Gongxing's battle intent and fierceness. The silver and purple light around his body became brighter, and the purple and blood color patterns on his skin became brighter. The terrifying aura made it hard for everyone present to breathe. Those below the Void God realm couldn't even use true Yuan, and even their bloodline power was suppressed. This power, Xian Yuan felt the true Yuan within his body tremble, and he couldn't circulate it as he wished. The biggest difference between a Void God Realm Emperor and a normal king was the perfection of their souls. There wasn't much of a difference in the quality of their power. This meant that even someone as strong as Xian Yuan was being suppressed. Zhao Feng, why aren't you stopping him? Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge suddenly thought of something. At this moment, almost no one could stop Nan Gongsheng. Even Xian Yuan had no chance of winning. If they really fought, it would be a disaster. On the side, Emo Dongyao had a cold expression as she glanced at Zhao Feng. It was as if she was saying, "This is all your fault." Luckily, Nan Gongsheng hasn't lost his mind. The people he killed were all people that he chased after or were enemies with. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. Luckily, this is called luckily? Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, the Ninth Prince, and company almost choked on their tears. Nan Gongxing's battle power had reached an unstoppable level. If God blocked him, he would kill God and Buddha. In just a short while, the kings in front of the God's Array building scattered in fear. Nan Gongsheng felt bored and licked his lips as he approached Xian Yuan with a terrifying aura. Anger burned on Xian Yuan's face, and the intent in his eyes condensed to the limit. He slowly raised his hand, and wisps of transparent light appeared in the air and radiated a forbidden aura. Stop! The expressions of Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, Xian Wuheng, the Imperials, and company changed dramatically. Once they started fighting, the consequences would be unimaginable. From the strength that Nan Gongsheng had displayed, it was almost impossible to defeat him without teaming up. Furthermore, Nan Gongsheng wasn't alone. He was just one of the purple-haired demonic duo. Enough. Amidst this extremely oppressive atmosphere, a faint voice rang out. This voice broke the terrifying aura that was suppressing everyone present, and everyone felt the pressure decrease. Nan Gongxing's footsteps froze. Struggle appeared in his eyes, and the coldness and bloodlust started to fade. Who? Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, and company let out a long breath, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. They couldn't help but look at the purple-haired youth with furrowed eyebrows. Those familiar with him knew that this purple-haired youth was the leader of the purple-haired demonic duo. Only he could stop Ningongsheng. Chapter 862. Zhao Feng's voice made the kings feel as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders, and the terrifying aura that had shocked everyone started to quickly fade. In the divine illusion dimension, the purple-haired demonic duo always worked together. Apart from Zhao Feng, it was hard to find a second person who could stop Ningongsheng, whose battle power was overwhelming. Hearing that voice, Ningongsheng's aura started to fade, and the cruel expression on his face became much warmer. Shua! Ningongsheng turned into a blurry silver and purple blur and charged into the God's Array building at a terrifying speed. Most people couldn't even see where Ningongsheng was moving. Pung! Pung! The hearts of the kings within the God's Array building tensed up, and they felt extremely pressured. One had to know, Ningongsheng had the terrifying strength to instantly kill peak-tier kings. Even emperors might not be his match. Jiao Wuji's battle power was already comparable to an emperor's. Apart from Xin Yuan 1, there was a chance that Ningongsheng could instantly kill everyone else. Whoosh! Ningongsheng's blur closed in on the purple-haired youth within the God's Array building. Brother Feng. Zhao Yufei's expression changed slightly, and she started to worry for some reason. There was no other reason than that Ningongsheng's current personality and strength had surpassed common sense. Whether or not he would be the same Ningongsheng after inheriting the power of the evil god remained to be seen. Shua! The silver and purple blur paused, and Ningongsheng appeared next to Zhao Feng. Just like before, the two stood side by side, forming the demonic duo. The kings present couldn't help but let out a long breath. Luckily, Ningongsheng hasn't completely lost control. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge broke out in cold sweat. However, everyone looked at the demonic duo with wariness in their eyes. Ningongsheng, one of the demonic duo, used his terrifying strength to scare everyone present. He was cold and bloodthirsty, and his unrestrained killing made others tremble. One of the demonic duo, Zhao Feng, had a deep gaze and a calm expression. Until now, this youth was still shrouded in thick fog, mysterious and unfathomable, making it impossible to see through him. However, those who had witnessed his attacks against the blue WIRM King and the black WIRM King would never forget it. At that time, this young man had almost killed the 9th and 10th ranked Blue Serpent King on the Imperial ranking. As a result, the Blue WIRM King and the Black WIRM King still didn't dare to show themselves. Ningongsheng, do you have a way to break the forbidden array within the God's Array building? Zhao Feng suddenly spoke. In the past few days, he had been waiting for Ningongsheng, waiting for a possibility. In the present, the God's Formation Spire would be difficult to break in a short period of time, and no one would be able to use it. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would enter Xieyang Palace within 10 days. In the face of this common enemy of death, Zhao Feng had no choice but to cooperate with the others and leave a way for himself to escape. Zhao Feng's words caused the kings present to be astonished. Could it be that Ningongsheng also knew arrays? Looking at how cruel and bloodthirsty this child was, he didn't seem like such a person. That's why I'm here. Ningongsheng's expression was indifferent as he scanned over the terrified kings, including the hateful gazes of those from the same clan who had been killed. His gaze was cold, as if he was looking down on ants, looking down on the common people. Only when his gaze landed on the purple-haired youth next to him did a complicated look flash through Ningongsheng's eyes. Ningongsheng couldn't understand why this youth could remain so calm in front of his terrifying power. Senior Marshal Brother Ningongsheng, do you know how to break it? Zhao Yufei asked with joy. There were only 10 days left for everyone to catch their breath. Under the threat of death, everyone had the desire to win. I have the rough diagram of the God's Array core here, and we can fix it. As for controlling this God's Array, Don't even think about it unless you've reached the level of a demigod. Nan Gongsheng said expressionlessly. Hearing that, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge and company revealed joyful expressions. After all, the gods' forbidden array was the domain of gods. How could mortals control it so easily? No wonder the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was so disdainful even though it knew their plan. If we can fix the gods' array core, we can at least temporarily resolve the danger. An array master from the Imperials said. Nan Gongsheng immediately closed his eyes and sent a rough diagram of the array to Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge with his divine sense. A while later, the few people who were responsible for deciphering the divine formation had all obtained the principles of the formation diagram. Exquisite, as expected of the gods' forbidden array. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge and the other array masters couldn't help but sigh as they revealed a look of passion. Of course, even after obtaining the diagram, it would still take some time to fix it. Time passed by. The shadow of death that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon brought slowly approached and covered all living beings within Xieyang Palace. Xieyang Palace was deathly silent. Some of the natives within the palace felt the aura of disaster and started to tremble uneasily. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, the amount of time the beings within the palace had left to breathe became less and less. Roar, pung, pung, boom, boom. Outside Xieyang Palace, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's black-scale body was smashing against the gods' forbidden array. The light from the gods' forbidden array had dimmed by more than half. Every time the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon smashed into it, a large hole would appear. If it was a normal human or beast, they would be able to enter Xieyang Palace. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was too big, and normal holes weren't big enough for it to enter. The gods' forbidden array's self-recovery ability was still there, and the damaged areas of the array would quickly recover. There's only 5 days left. All of you will turn to dust under the rage of the destruction race. The roar of a dragon resounded across Xieyang Palace. No one knew when. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's head could barely reach into Xieyang Palace. In an instant, all the beings within Xieyang Palace felt a chaotic aura that could destroy heaven and earth. Within the God's Array building, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, Xian Wuheng, and company used every second they had to study the structure of the array. Whoosh! At the edge of Xieyang Palace, 2 figures landed in an area where cracks would occasionally appear. One was a purple-haired youth, and the other was a purple and blood-haired youth. There are many flaws in the array here. At a critical moment, we can use it as a place to escape. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. After saying that, he raised the substandard god arm guard in his hand and lightly pointed at where he was standing. Wang, a layer of silver light appeared on the surface of the arm guard and spun around before quickly shrinking into a dot of black light and disappearing. There was still a faint disturbance in space that slowly calmed down. Success. Zhao Feng's senses merged into the substandard god arm guard, and he found that there was a very clear dot of black light. So, Zhao Feng used the misty spatial world to locate it. This spatial marker can only be used in the divine illusion dimension. It can't be used in the continent zone. After all, the divine illusion dimension is constantly moving, and it overlaps with the continent once every 100 years. Then Gongxing warned, the slightest difference in teleportation could result in a distance of billions of miles, and one might even be sent to another dimension. The most likely outcome was getting lost in the chaotic flow of space, which was equivalent to death. I understand. If it's a spatial marker in the continent zone, I can directly teleport back in the divine illusion dimension. After all, the continent zone's geography is fixed. Zhao Feng sighed. If the divine illusion dimension wasn't constantly moving, then as long as he left a spatial marker here, he would be able to return to the divine illusion dimension in the future. In the next day or two, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng would occasionally appear in a corner outside of Xieyang Palace. In order to leave a path of retreat, Zhao Feng had set up a total of 19 spatial markers. Although not very strong, I should be able to teleport through this area. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. If you're not strong enough, there's still me. A wicked and confident smile appeared on Nin Gongxing's face. His strength could be said to be the strongest amongst the outsiders of Xieyang Palace, and he also had the power of space. That's good. Zhao Feng paused for a moment and felt that Nin Gongxing's personality had changed. Although Nin Gongxing's personality wasn't completely twisted, his personality had changed quite a bit. For example, he had become cruel and bloodthirsty. Time flew by. Xieyang Palace, God's Array Building. There's only 3 days left. The geniuses and kings outside the Array Building were all uneasy. The shadow of death came closer and closer, and they could hear the roars of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. The last 3 days, woo, pung boom. The God's Forbidden Array outside of Xieyang Palace was extremely dim, as if it could shatter at any moment. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon might charge in at any moment in the next 3 days. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge took a deep breath. Almost there. Let's first identify the 2 biggest flaws and establish a formation to transform and transfer the energy. Sweat started to appear on Xi and Wu Heng's forehead. No matter how strong one was, they would still feel pressure and panic when facing the threat of death. Immediately, the king geniuses outside the God's Array Building all entered and started to move around. Half a day later, more than half a 5-colored whirlpool array had been constructed. It all depends on luck now. Zhao Feng sighed as he touched his substandard god arm guard. At this moment, the God's Forbidden Array around Xieyang Palace was extremely weak. Crack! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's giant head and half of its body had already entered Xieyang Palace. Woo! The end of the world is coming. The roar of a dragon that caused heaven and earth to tremble resounded across Xieyang Palace, and it was as if heaven and earth were shaking. Boom! A surge of destructive aura swept over and scorched some of the buildings at the edge of Xieyang Palace. It's over. Is everything going to end? The geniuses and elites within the God's Array Building were filled with fear and despair. There's still a chance. Zhao Feng touched his substandard god arm guard with sharp eyes. Wang, the experts and elites all merged their true yuan into the 5-colored whirlpool array. Go! Xi and Wu Heng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge led 2 5-colored beams of light from the whirlpool array. Wang whoosh, whoosh. The 2 5-colored beams of light merged into the 2 biggest flaws of the God's Array and tried to fix them. Life or death, success or failure, will be decided in this instant. The crowd held their breaths as their hearts tensed up. Chapter 863. Outside Xieyang Palace. The misty light of the God's Forbidden Array was extremely dim, and cracks started to appear on it like fragile glass. Boom! Crack! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon that was 400 to 500 yards long squeezed its head and part of its body into Xieyang Palace. Roar! In an instant, the roar of a dragon resounded throughout Xieyang Palace as a destructive draconic aura spread out. Countless beings in the palace instinctively trembled in fear from their bloodlines and souls. It was as if the entire space where the ancient god's mysterious mansion was located was shrouded in dark clouds of doomsday. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Purple and blood-colored light flashed from the surface of the God's Forbidden Array and landed on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, but it didn't even leave a mark on it. In front of the God's Array Building, the geniuses and elites from the Lord Dynasty fell into fear and despair. The shadow of destruction and death covered their bodies. Once the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon charged into Xieyang Palace, most king geniuses wouldn't be able to survive. The World Annihilation Mark's reaction was also unprecedentedly strong at this moment. Within the Array Building, the king geniuses all poured their true yuan into the 5-colored whirlpool array. It seems to be working. Xi and Wu Heng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge quickly formed complicated hand seals and drew out 2 beams of 5-colored light from the whirlpool array, which merged into the 2 biggest flaws of the God Array. Zhao Feng stood on the side and watched. He was the weakest in terms of true yuan cultivation, so he obviously couldn't do anything. Nan Gongsheng joined in, and a purple and blood-colored whirlpool appeared in his palm and turned into a bright river that merged into the whirlpool array. Wong boom! The light from the vortex suddenly became twice as dazzling as before, and a rumbling sound rang out. The other elites of the monarchs present all revealed expressions of shock. In other words, Nan Gongsheng's power alone was comparable to Xianyuan 1, Zhao Yufei, and many other void god realms working together. Although not all the kings participated, there were still around 20 of them. Xianyuan 1, an emperor, was among them. The power of a god is indeed shocking, but the amount that Nan Gongsheng can control and use is limited. Right now, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. After a few breaths, within the God Formation Tower, the energy ripples of the God Formation Hub seemed to show signs of turning back. With his God spiritual eye, Zhao Feng found that the array seemed to be operating more smoothly than before. Of course, other than Zhao Feng, Xian Wuheng, senior brother Zhuge, and a few others, this slight change was not obvious to the others. What? Outside Xianyang Palace, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body suddenly froze. It suddenly sensed that the self-recovery speed of the god's forbidden formation was rising. 10 breaths later, buzz. The misty radiance formed by the god's forbidden formation went from being extremely dim to gradually brightening. Ants, you're just struggling at death's door. The black serpent dragon let out a furious roar as its enormous black-scaled body struggled in the holes of the array formation. However, around the time it took to make tea later, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's enormous body started to twist as it was being squeezed by the god's forbidden formation. After all, Xianyang Palace was a god palace. The god's forbidden formation was set up to deal with heavenly divine realm experts. At their peak, even heavenly divine realm experts would find it hard to break through. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thousands of purple and blood-colored lights shot onto the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body. The pressure and the backlash from the god's forbidden formation made the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon roar and roar. Seeing this, the recovery speed and backlash from the god's forbidden formation continued to rise, and the pressure became greater. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body was almost stuck in the hole of the array. Woo! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave off an unwilling roar as it barely managed to retreat outside of Xianyang Palace. Then, the huge hole in the wall was rapidly repaired. The god's forbidden formation had a unique characteristic. The more damage a certain area suffered, the more power it would give. Therefore, fighting against the god's forbidden formation with just its own power was like fighting against heaven and earth. It was unimaginable that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon could reach such a level. Within the God's Array building, success. The King Geniuses let out a long breath and felt as if they had just survived a calamity. Thank you, everyone. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge wiped his sweat and said with a smile, the two biggest flaws in the core of the God's forbidden formation have been fixed. Although the defensive power of the god's forbidden formation hasn't increased by much, its recovery speed and sensitivity have increased by a lot. The defensive power of the god's forbidden formation was related to its core power. However, after so many years, Xianyang Palace's core power had started to run dry, so its defensive power hadn't increased by much. However, because the flaws in the core of the array had been fixed, the array's circulation became smoother, and its recovery speed increased. At this moment, the destructive aura from outside Xianyang Palace started to fade. It was expected. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would have to spend more time trying to break into Xianyang Palace. There's still 1 or 2 more months before the Divine Illusion Dimension leaves the Lord Dynasty. We'll be able to return then. Ha ha ha. We just need to last 1 or 2 more months, and we'll be able to return alive. The experts outside the God's Array building were overjoyed. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng also revealed smiles. After all, The danger of the black destruction serpent dragon had been temporarily resolved. Next, the kings tried their best to fix the two biggest flaws in the core of the gods' forbidden formation. 3 days later, the king elites walked out of the gods' array building, exhausted. 1. The white door frame on the surface of the gods' array building started to close. The biggest flaw in the core of the gods' forbidden formation has been fixed. The black destruction serpent dragon won't be able to break in within 1 or 2 months. Xi Wuheng faintly nodded his head. All they needed to do was stay in Xieyang Palace for another month or 2 before returning to the continent zone. Hee, there's still 1 or 2 months left. Doesn't that mean that we'll be able to find all the fortune in Xieyang Palace? Ha ha ha. That black loach can only watch as we plunder everything in Xieyang Palace. The geniuses outside the gods' forbidden formation were overjoyed. There's still close to 2 months left in Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other as their hearts moved. In the next 1 or 2 months, the groups of the forces present obviously wouldn't sit around and wait for the divine illusion dimension to close. One had to know that less than 1% of Xieyang Palace had been explored. How could they miss such a good opportunity? Quick! The groups of some forces left the gods' array building first. Whoosh! 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 Figures flashed in front of the gods' array building as the groups of forces started to move. See you later, Zhao Feng. Xi Wuheng said goodbye to Zhao Feng before leaving by himself. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng also started to move. Brother Feng, wait. Zhao Yufei's sudden message made Zhao Feng stop. Mo Dongyao and company from Sky Sword Pavilion didn't leave either. Mo Dongyao obeyed the Little Sword Saint's orders and followed Zhao Feng before leaving Xieyang Palace. As promised, as long as Zhao Feng led the group from Sky Sword Pavilion out of Xieyang Palace safely, the Little Sword Saint would owe him a favor. Yufei, what do you think? Zhao Feng asked. There was nothing to worry about in the next 1 or 2 months. The groups of the forces would think of ways to explore Xieyang Palace and gather resources. Brother Feng, the Duanmu family found a legendary treasure that can help one break through to the mystic light realm. Zhao Yufei walked in front of the two and said in a low voice, "Help one break through to the mystic light realm?" Zhao Feng's heart jumped. There was such a peerless treasure in Xieyang Palace. The mystic light realm was an extremely difficult threshold to cross in the fan universe, and it was an unreachable place. In the past, the Purple Night Sacred Lord was a mystic light realm sacred lord. Although the demigod Kuan Yun was called a demigod, he was still at the mystic light realm. At the same time, the mystic light realm was the closest realm to the heavenly divine realm. Even Zhao Feng's heart throbbed in the face of such a peerless treasure, and he found it hard to resist its temptation. At this moment, Zhao Feng's emperor intent had started to recover, and with the resources he had now, he would be able to return to his previous life's cultivation within half a year. Within 2 or 3 years, he would be able to reach the peak void god realm and surpass his previous life to become a true emperor. However, after that, he would also face the threshold of the mystic light realm, which wasn't too far for Zhao Feng. At the same time, his master, Duanmu Qing, had failed to break through to the mystic light realm, so he definitely needed such a peerless treasure. Let's go. Zhao Feng made his decision without thinking. A treasure that could help one break through to the mystic light realm was something that was hard to come by outside the divine illusion dimension. Zhao Feng had to grasp this chance. Even if it was extremely difficult, he had to try. 4 hours later, with the people from the Duanmu family leading the way, the group arrived in front of a garden outside of Xieyang Palace. Just as they arrived in front of the garden, Zhao Feng smelled an intoxicating fragrance, and his blood flow became smoother. His mind became calm, and he felt as if he was walking on air. Unbelievable! Just a wisp of fragrance is able to make one's body and soul feel refreshed. Just how many rare flowers and plants are there in this garden? The geniuses and elites of the Sky Sword Pavilions group were dumbfounded. However, the garden in front of them had walls around it, so they could only faintly see what was inside. Zhao Feng's heart jumped when he used his god's spiritual eye to see what was inside. There were hundreds of flowers within the garden, and any one of them was comparable to the green water sky lotus in value. Some of them were even more valuable, and they were enough to make emperors and sacred lords move. What was most shocking was that there were hundreds of flowers in the garden that were in full bloom, and the number of flowers that weren't in full bloom was more than double. Everyone, be careful. There's a lot of danger brewing in this garden. The green-robed elder from the Duanmu family warned in a low tone. On the other hand, the group from the Duanmu family were all on guard. Wang, taking a closer look, the garden was filled with the kind of bee that shone with a five-colored light. These bees weren't very big. They were usually the size of a thumb, and the bigger ones were only the size of a baby's head. However, any one of these colorful bees radiated an aura comparable to a great origin core realm. Some of the stronger elite bees had auras comparable to half-step void god realms, and there was a bee king in each area with an aura comparable to a peak tier king. 5 poison distinct bees. It's an ancient rare insect that has a bloodline close to the 10,000 ancient races. The older elites of Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but take in a cold breath. From a rough estimate, there were at least several 100,000 5-poison distinct bees, and there were at most millions of them. And the most terrifying thing was that in the depths of the garden, on a towering tree, there was a pitch-black beehive that was as large as a palace. Chapter 864. Wang. In the depths of the garden, tens of thousands of 5-poison distinct bees formed streams of insects that flowed into the black beehive that was as big as a palace. Bee kings of the 5-poison distinct bees would occasionally appear near the beehive. The normal 5-poison distinct bees were packed together and covered the sky as they surrounded the black beehive. Apart from being spectacular, it was also shocking. Every single 5-poison distinct bee possessed frightening lethality in the outside world. Even the lowest level normal 5-poison distinct bees had the aura of life comparable to an origin core realm. According to the records, the 5-poison distinct bees can unleash a lethal stinger attack, and they have the power to kill enemies stronger than themselves. This method of perishing together with the enemy is something that all living beings and races fear. The elder in green robes from the Duanmu family had a solemn expression, and his eyes were filled with wariness. Killing enemies stronger than themselves and dying with them. Mo Dongyao from Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but take in a cold breath. In other words, the great origin core realm 5-poison distinct bees could threaten void god realm kings and kill half-step void god realms. Of course, the price of such terrifying damage was death. This kind of poisonous bee race that would perish together with the enemy at the slightest provocation was naturally terrifying. At this point in time, everyone's hair stood on end as they looked at the tens of thousands of poisonous bees. Once the 5-poison distinct bees attack, they'll die with their enemies. An ordinary 5-poison distinct bee can kill a half-step king. An elite 5-poison distinct bee can probably perish together with a king. As for a king-grade bee, it can even kill a great emperor. Zhao Feng's heart shook as he analyzed the situation. Even Nen Gongsheng, who was extremely strong, stopped underestimating them. If there were only dozens or hundreds of 5-poison distinct bees, they could completely underestimate them. However, the number of bees in the garden was just too many. The most unfathomable thing was the palace-like beehive on the tree. Everyone realized that all the elite bees and king-level bees were extremely respectful and careful when entering the palace-like beehive, as if they were worshipping an emperor. Nan Gongseng's nose ring trembled slightly as he sensed a terrifying aura from the beehive. Queen bee. With his left eye, Zhao Feng was able to observe the terrifying scene inside the nest. There were dozens of queen bees in the beehive. Including the ones outside, there were more than 100. The average battle power of these bee kings was close to peak tier kings. Above them were the queen bee and the queen bee. The bee monarchs were comparable to void god realm emperors. There were about 5 of them in the beehive. However, the strongest was still the only queen bee. The size of the queen bee was the size of a house. Its aura was enormous, as if it could suppress a part of the world. Even a peak great emperor would have to retreat in fear. Of course, Zhao Feng also understood the goal of this trip. In the queen bee's hive, there was a crystal-like, colorful nectar. Only the queen bee can secrete the 100 origins sacred honey, and it takes at least 100 years or even a few hundred years to produce it. Furthermore, the requirements for the pollen are extremely high, and it requires at least 100 different peak-grade flowers. Zhao Yufei explained in a low tone. The 100 origins sacred honey was the main goal of Zhao Feng and company. However, after seeing the powerful formation of the beehive, everyone wanted to retreat. When Zhao Feng revealed the number of bee kings and bee emperors in the hive, everyone gasped in shock. There are more than 100 queen bees and 4 or 5 queen bees. There are also tens of thousands of normal and elite venomous bees. Everyone couldn't help but hiccup. This beehive was a kingdom of venomous bees, and its formation was comparable to a 3-star power. Terrifying. Even if all the groups that entered Xieyang Palace were gathered together, it would be extremely difficult to take down this kingdom. Mo Dongyao shook her head. She didn't want the group from Skysword Pavilion to take this risk. Although the 100 origins sacred honey can increase one's state of existence by 30 to 40%, and it can increase one's chance of breaking through to the mystic light realm by 30 to 40%. Just how big of a price would they have to pay to obtain this sacred honey? The elder in green from the Duanmu family shook his head. Before this, they had only found this kingdom of venomous bees, but they didn't know what was inside. Putting aside the strength of the queen bee, just the 4 or 5 queen bees were comparable to emperors, and they had the ability to kill those stronger than them. The strength of the queen bee might have reached the level of a sacred lord. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other and came to the same conclusion. After all, the strength of the queen bee surpassed the queen bee by 1 level, and she was a supreme existence in the venomous bee kingdom. Therefore, it wasn't too much to call her battle power at the level of a sacred lord. Mystic Light, Realm, Sacred Lord. The hearts of those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion shook, and they almost ran away. At this moment, the group from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion had all lost their will to fight. Nan Gongxing's expression was solemn as he looked at the giant black beehive with wariness. Although he didn't put normal emperors in his eyes, there were existences comparable to sacred lords within the beehive. Furthermore, these 5 poison distinct bees all had the ability to kill themselves. It's not like we can't outsmart them. An indifferent voice came from the panic-stricken crowd, and it seemed so abrupt. This is their way. Everyone looked at the purple-haired youth who seemed to only be at the origin core realm with surprise. Nan Gongxing's heart shook. Even with his current strength, he didn't dare to attack recklessly. However, from Zhao Feng's tone, it didn't seem to be too hard. Although the queen bee is strong, it's one with the entire beehive. All the nectar and essence collected by the 5 poison distinct bees will be given to it. It's the core of this kingdom. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. The only thing he was truly wary of was the sacred lord-level queen bee. But it was a different story if the queen bee was restricted. You're saying that the queen bee can't move and can't attack. Zhao Yufei's eyes flashed. That's right. Zhao Feng had a look of praise. The queen bee has almost no ability to move. Once it tries to forcefully fly out, the entire kingdom will collapse. This means that as long as we don't do anything too out of line, this won't happen. Nan Gongxing understood, and battle intent rose in his eyes. After analyzing the passive weakness of the queen bee, Zhao Yufei and the others regained some confidence. Next, everyone started to discuss what group to send into the beehive to obtain the 100 origins sacred honey. They definitely couldn't send everyone into such a dangerous operation. A while later, on the stage, they discussed a formation. A total of 4 people would take action to obtain the 100 origin sacred honey. These 4 people were Zhao Feng, Nin Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. Before entering, Zhao Feng did some preparations. Firstly, he used the substandard God Misty spatial world to leave behind a spatial mark outside the garden. Go! Zhao Feng then raised his hand, and a black blur flashed. Shua! Everyone saw an ugly female scorpion woman scream, rush into the garden, and fly towards the huge beehive. In terms of speed, this female scorpion woman was comparable to normal kings. Furthermore, her body was covered in a pitch-black metallic scorpion armor, and her defense was shocking. Apart from the fact that her soul hadn't evolved enough, the other aspects of attack, speed, and defense of the female scorpion woman that Zhao Feng enslaved were extremely close to a void god realm king. Wang, the female scorpion woman, attracted the attention of some wasps as soon as she entered the garden. The closer she got to the beehive, the more wasps swarmed over. In that instant, hundreds and thousands of 5-poison distinct bees surrounded the female scorpion woman. The female scorpion woman waved her arms furiously, and a layer of wasps fell from her body. However, under the suicidal attacks of the wasps, her tough scorpion armor was still broken through. Whoosh, whoosh. It was especially so for a few elite 5-poison distinct bees. Their stingers easily pierced into their bodies. Ark! The female scorpion let out a blood-curdling scream, and colorful poisonous smoke rose from her skin. In just a few breaths, the female scorpion woman left behind a puddle of black blood. The defense of this female scorpion woman is very strong. She'll be able to last as long as a normal king. Zhao Feng's gaze was cold as he analyzed in a low voice. Hearing that, everyone's hearts went cold. Didn't that mean that normal kings wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths under the attacks of the wasps? Furthermore, there weren't many elite wasps, and there wasn't even a single king-class wasp, let alone a bee emperor. Of course, Zhao Feng only sent out the female scorpion woman to test the power of the 5-poison distinct bees. The result was even scarier than expected. Let's go. Zhao Feng nodded his head as his gaze scanned over Nin Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, Mo Dongyao, and company. The elites of the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion all felt that this was absurd. That purple-haired youth was clearly the youngest and had the lowest cultivation, but he had easily become the leader of the group of 4. Even Nin Gongsheng, who had slaughtered everyone, was just one of them. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 4 flew into the air and headed toward the garden. What was even more incredible was that the person walking at the front was also Zhao Feng. Wang, some of the nearby wasps instantly leaped over. Boom! Before the wasps could even get close to Zhao Feng, they were turned into ashes by a faint golden physical force. After his sacred lightning body broke through to the 5th level, Zhao Feng could use his physical body alone to fight against normal kings. Once he got close, normal kings wouldn't be able to stop him. This was just the beginning stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body. If Zhao Feng reached the late stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body, his physical body would be able to fight against emperors and anyone below the sacred lord realm. Apart from the precious 100 origin sacred honey, there's also a normal 100 origin fruit juice in the beehive. It can also increase the level of my state of existence and help me increase the level of my golden Kuan sacred lightning body. Zhao Feng's left, I focused on the large black beehive on the tree in the distance. However, right now, Zhao Feng and company needed to pass through the tens of thousands of 5-poison distinct bees. Several elite-level wasps led hundreds and thousands of 5-poison distinct bees toward the 4 of them. Those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Zhao Feng and company. This step is very simple. Zhao Feng immediately circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, and his left, I seemed to turn into a purple abyss. A shocking scene appeared. The bodies of the beautiful 5-poison distinct bees froze when they got close to the 4 of them. Wong. The hundred-some bees were like soldiers of an army, patrolling around Zhao Feng's group of four in awe and respect, as if they were escorting them. Chapter 865. This scene caused the elites of the Duanmu clan and Heavenly Sword Pavilion, who were watching from outside the garden, to become speechless. Wong. The first wave of more than 100 wasps obediently surrounded Zhao Feng's group of four as they approached. There were even a few elite-grade wasps that were comparable to half-step Void God Realm Kings. If they used a suicidal attack, they could kill a Void God Realm King with them. Next, the second batch of 1 to 200 wasps approached, but they hesitated when they saw what the first batch was doing. Shwa! In an instant, 1 to 200 mental energy intense swept across the second batch of wasps. Wong, the wasps' bodies froze, and they became even more respectful as they joined the ranks of the escort wasps. This meant that there were more than 305 poison distinct bees protecting them. These bees were five-colored and protected Zhao Feng and company in the middle. Zhao Feng's footsteps slowed down slightly as he circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, and his eye bloodline started to enslave and tame the bees that had been alerted. Zhao Feng would only use the Dark Heart Seal to enslave the elite-grade wasps. As for the normal wasps, he would either tame them or use the elite-grade wasps to control them. 15 minutes later, several thousand five-poison distinct bees surrounded Zhao Feng and company, and 50 to 60 elite-grade wasps were enslaved. The dense swarm of bees was like a five-colored whirlwind that completely obscured the figures of Zhao Feng's group of four. Not only were their figures concealed, but even the auras of the four of them were concealed to the greatest extent. It's about time. Zhao Feng nodded his head and led the way. The several thousand five-poison distinct bees circled around them and covered their auras. Soon after, very few wasps got close to the five-poison distinct mountains. When normal wasps got close, they would be scared away by the elite-grade wasps that Zhao Feng controlled, and they wouldn't dare to ask. If an elite-ranked wasp came to interrogate him, Zhao Feng would immediately enslave it. This elite grade 5 poison strange peak is comparable to a half-step king. It can even kill a Void God Realm King with a suicidal attack. Zhao Feng smiled. As long as an elite poisonous bee grew suspicious and approached, it would fall under Zhao Feng's control. In the Wasp Kingdom, ordinary wasps were like soldiers or even puppets. They followed orders rigidly. The elite 5 poison distinct bee had some consciousness. Zhao Feng enslaved the elite venomous bees to achieve his goal of controlling the venomous bee swarm. Nan Gongsheng and company were surprised. They hadn't expected Zhao Feng to come up with such an idea and enter the venomous wasp kingdom so easily. Time passed. As they approached the beehive that was as huge as a palace, the number of elite wasps on the way increased. At a certain moment, buzz! A king-level wasp swooped over aggressively, as if it was asking why these wasps were slacking off. Good. Zhao Feng circulated his eye intent to the maximum and used a Forbidden Soul technique. In an instant, a chilling aura seeped into Qi Feng's soul. The 5 poison distinct bees were small, and they were average in both the soul dimension and the physical dimension. They were even slightly weak. The scariest traits of this race were that they lived in groups, their venom, and their suicidal attacks. These 5 poison distinct bees were unlucky to meet Zhao Feng. Shua! The king-level wasp struggled for a bit before being enslaved by Zhao Feng. The entire process was smoother than expected. This was the benefit of recovering his emperor intent. Although Zhao Feng's cultivation was low, his physical body was strong, and his soul dimension eye bloodline techniques were comparable to emperors. Mo Dongyao revealed a shocked expression as she looked deeply at Zhao Feng. Those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family were wary. Once the king-level wasps used their suicidal attacks, they could even kill emperors. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng's strength had increased dramatically. After controlling a king-level wasp, the rest of the journey was extremely smooth. A while later, Zhao Feng's group of 4 arrived at the bottom of the large black beehive. With the king level and elite level wasps guarding them, the surrounding wasps all went around them and didn't dare to come over to ask questions. The only other king level wasps, Zhao Feng, had to be wary of were the king level wasps. After entering the beehive, they might face the even stronger bee emperor, an existence comparable to an emperor. With Zhao Feng's current soul intent, it was extremely difficult to enslave the bee emperor. Even if he succeeded, he would cause a lot of noise and alert the other bee emperors. Sung, whoosh, whoosh. The four jumped into the large beehive under the cover of the wasps. The beehive was the size of a human palace, and there were many 5 poisoned distinct bees living inside, including some larvae and eggs. Try to avoid the bee emperor and go straight to the bee queen's nest, Zhao Feng said in a low tone. With their battle power, it wasn't hard for them to deal with one bee emperor, but there were 4 or 5 bee queens in the beehive. The scariest thing was that if the bee emperor used a suicidal attack, it could kill Mystic Light Realm sacred lords. Zhao Feng didn't want to see that happen. Luckily, Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I had already seen the layout of the beehive, and he also obtained more information from the king-level wasps he had tamed. After entering the beehive, Zhao Feng and company became even more cautious. On the way, they would occasionally meet king-level wasps, and Zhao Feng would carefully use the Dark Heart Seal to not make too much noise. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng had tamed 4 or 5 king-level wasps and over 100 elite-level wasps. During this period of time, Zhao Feng and company successfully gathered some 100 Origin honey juice. In essence, the 100 Origin sacred honey was the 100 Origin honey juice, which was more original and quintessential. The 100 Origin honey juice could increase one's state of existence, and it was extremely beneficial to Void God Realm kings. It could even create a good foundation for breaking through to the Mystic Light Realm. This honey juice was extremely beneficial to Zhao Feng's 5th level sacred lightning body. On top of that, Nan Gongsheng and Mo Dongyao's state of existence were slightly weaker. Zhao Feng got 40% of the 100 Origin honey juice, and Nan Gongsheng and company each got 20%. No one objected to this. Unknowingly, they had reached the depths of the Beehive Kingdom. At this moment, a terrifying aura crushed over, as if heaven and earth was being suppressed. The pressure from this aura surpassed even that of an emperor. If it was a normal Void God Realm king, their mind would have collapsed and they would have spat out blood. However, Zhao Feng and company weren't normal. Not good. The Bee Queen has sensed us. Zhao Feng's expression changed dramatically. Only now did he realize that he had underestimated the Bee Queen. Although the Bee Queen couldn't move, it was still the ruler of the beehive. It could be said that half of the beehive was her secretions. If it weren't for the fact that the Bee Queen still had to lay eggs, it would have sensed Zhao Feng and company even earlier. Let's go. The hearts of Zhao Feng and company shook as they sped up toward the Bee Queen's nest. At the same time, the king venomous bees and even the bee emperor within the beehive were alerted, and they quickly flew over. Sung, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Zhao Feng and company did their best to charge toward the Bee Queen's nest. The Bee Queen's nest was getting closer and closer, and the 100 Origin sacred honey seemed to be getting closer as well. However, right at this moment, wong whoosh, a bee emperor screamed as it gave off an aura comparable to an emperor and chased after the 4. Leave the bee emperor to me. You guys deal with the Bee Queen and get the 100 Origin sacred honey, Mo Dongyao said. She turned around decisively with a cold gaze. She gripped the tattered ancient god sword, and the image of the white-bearded little sword saint appeared behind her. I'll deal with the other bee kings. Zhao Yufei stayed behind as well. Apart from the bee emperors, there were also several dozen bee kings in the beehive. The average battle power of the bee kings was close to a peak-tier king. Go! Zhao Feng didn't hesitate. He left behind some bees to help the 2 girls and charged toward the Bee Queen's nest with Nan Gongsheng. Boom! Before they even entered the Bee Queen's nest, a terrifying aura that could seal heaven and earth appeared. All of Zhao Feng's true yuan started to tremble and freeze. His soul also shook and the blood within his body started to boil. This was the aura of the bee queen, and it was comparable to a sacred lord. If it were a normal king, they wouldn't even be able to circulate their true yuan and intent. Even with Zhao Feng's powerful body and soul intent, his body froze, and he found it hard to move forward. Wang, there was a dark-colored bee the size of a house within the bee queen's nest. Its eyes glittered with a golden light, and it seemed to be able to control heaven and earth with just its gaze and intent. However, the bee queen's body was connected to the beehive, and it couldn't move easily. That's the bee queen. Zhao Feng's breathing became heavy as he opened the little world of the misty spatial world. However, even the little world wasn't able to block the sacred lord-level aura and only weaken it by 20 to 30%. If it was a normal king, they would have spat out blood and knelt on the ground already. Let me. A purple and blood-colored light radiated from Nan Gongxing's body as he radiated a powerful aura that could pass through both the physical and the soul, and it clashed with the sacred lord-level aura. His purple and blood-colored hair blew in the wind, and the purple and blood-colored mark on his forehead flashed. A cruel and cold smile formed on his face, as if he was the lord of the wicked path. Zhao Feng felt the pressure on him lighten, especially in the physical dimension. Wang, right at this moment, an aura of the Tao of the sword that reigned supreme over everything appeared behind him. Soul's sword charge. Mo Dongyao raised the tattered ancient god sword in her hand, and the white sword light behind her suddenly expanded to 100 yards and released a crystal-like beam that slashed toward the bee emperor. Sii. The bee emperor screamed. Its body was perfectly fine, but its soul and intent had been destroyed by that sword. Spiritual light, heaven and earth. A crystalline light radiated from Zhao Yufei's body, and millions of rays of purple light pierced through the incoming bees. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the envelopment of the millions of amethyst light rays, swarms of wasps descended. In just 1 or 2 breaths, 2 or 3 bee kings were killed, and over 1,000 elite and normal bees died. Boom! Even the people from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family outside the garden could feel the trembling of the beehive and the purple light coming from it. It's Yufei's spiritual race bloodline secret technique. The green-robed elder's heart clenched. Mo Dongyao and Zhao Yufei used a single target attack and an area of effect secret technique. Their teamwork was perfect. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng didn't need to worry about anything for now. The powerful auras radiating from their attacks even made the sacred lord-level bee queen's expression change. 100 Origin Sacred Honey. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the half-frozen rainbow-colored honey within the bee queen's nest. Chapter 866. Within the bee queen's nest, Nan Gongxing's aura started to clash with the bee queen for a short period of time. Outside the nest, Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao managed to stabilize the situation. The half-frozen multicolored honey was extremely close and gave off a fatal allure. It could help one reach the supreme sacred hall of a mystic light realm sacred lord. However, in this situation, Zhao Feng still didn't lose his cool. His left eye locked onto the Hornet Queen as if he was trying to see through her body. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's body tensed up, and he didn't move as he focused all of his energy. Zhao Feng, hurry up and do something. Cold sweat appeared on Nan Gongxing's forehead, and the purple and blood-colored divine light around him started to tremble and shine with layers of silver-purple light. He circulated his astounding strength to the limit, but he was still unable to withstand it. The Bee Queen's power had basically reached the level of a mystic light realm sacred lord. Her aura could suppress the air, and it was countless times stronger than the magnificent power of kings. Zhao Feng still didn't move. His left eye stared at the Bee Queen's dark golden compound eye. A trace of surprise flashed through the queen bee's eyes. It was waiting for this youth to take the 100 Origins sacred honey, but it didn't expect him to be so calm and collected. Zhao Feng could feel the killing intent brewing within the Bee Queen. Once he tried to take the 100 Origins sacred honey, he would definitely be attacked. The ambush of Sacred Lord wasn't something that Void God Realm Kings or Emperors could block. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. Nan Gongsheng and the two girls behind him wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths. Wung at the same time, tens of thousands of wasps gathered toward the nest. There were tens of thousands of elites among them, and they were comparable to half-step kings. There were over 100 king-level wasps, and their average battle power was comparable to a peak-tier king. It was equivalent to Zhao Feng and company were being attacked by a 3-star power, and the situation was extremely dangerous. Nan Gongsheng quickly understood the pressure Zhao Feng was facing. The killing intent of a Sacred Lord-level Sacred Lord was not easy to deal with. Only the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor at his peak would be able to resist it. Meow meow. A silver-gray thieving cat appeared and broke the stalemate. The thieving cat was only the size of a palm. It bared its fangs and looked very harmless. However, its next move caused the queen bee to be furious. Meow! A spade appeared in the little thieving cat's hand, and it dug into the area of the rainbow liquid. Puff! The little thieving cat happily dug out a shovel of 100 origin sacred honey. Rumble! The entire beehive trembled strangely, as if it would collapse at any moment. He didn't know what characteristics the shovel had that caused such a huge commotion. The queen bee was furious and shocked. She let out a heaven-shaking roar, and the space around her seemed to faintly tremble. Whoosh! The queen bee opened her mouth and spat out a shocking, dark flame. The moment the dark-colored flame appeared, the void seemed to distort and tremble. The forbidden aura caused everyone present to feel a chill in their hearts. What was even more shocking was that, as the distorted, dark-colored flames attacked, a taboo aura enveloped the void where the target was located. At this moment, Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat seemed to freeze in place. Not good. Could it be the queen bee's origin sacred flame? Nan Gongsheng's heart jumped. The power of this forbidden power was only slightly weaker than the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon outside Xieyang Palace. For the four present, the origin sacred flame was an unparalleled existence. Even a peak emperor would be instantly killed by it. No wonder Zhao Feng acted as if he was facing a great enemy. Meow! The little thieving cat screamed as it sensed the danger it had never felt before. Spatial movement. A ripple of eye bloodline power formed an invisible whirlpool that covered the dark flame and the little thieving cat. Shwa! The little thieving cat and the dark-colored flames around it suddenly disappeared. What? Surprise flashed through the queen bee's golden compound eyes. Suddenly, its expression changed dramatically as it screamed and was covered by a ripple of eye bloodline power. Whoosh! A ball of forbidden, twisted, dark-colored flames landed on the queen bee's face. Arg! A sharp screech shook the air, and both the physical and soul dimension started to tremble. Boom, boom, boom. Boom! The entire beehive started to shake, and a terrifying aura shook the hearts of those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family outside. 100 origin sacred honey, collect. Zhao Feng unleashed his substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, and collected the nearby 100 origin sacred honey before the queen bee could recover. At this moment, the terrifying undulation of power from the queen bee almost suppressed the entire area. Zhao Feng's face went bright red, and his soul dimension started to crackle. The queen bee's killing intent had locked onto him. Retreat. A layer of silver and purple light appeared around Nan Gongsheng and enveloped Zhao Feng. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng barely managed to retreat out of the queen bee's nest. I can't hold on any longer. At this moment, Mo Dongyao and Zhao Yufei retreated to the queen bee's nest under the attacks of several bee emperors, dozens of bee kings, and tens of thousands of bees. The group of four met up in front of the queen bee's nest. Very good, the plan is complete. Zhao Feng smiled faintly and raised his arm. However, something unexpected happened at this moment. Within the queen bee's nest, a cruel killing intent appeared on the queen bee's bloody face as she opened her mouth and spat. "Watch out!" Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao exclaimed at the same time. Wang, a wave of multicolored light shot out of the queen bee's mouth and enveloped the group at the entrance. Mockery flashed through the queen bee's eyes. She had analyzed that Zhao Feng's spatial movement was targeted at physical objects. This time, she had used an area of effect attack that could kill all of them in one fell swoop. A forbidden power covered the four of them. Hee goodbye. Zhao Feng's raised arm was already swinging down. Shua! A layer of silver light appeared around the four of them, and with a flash of silver light, space undulated. Boom! The wave of multicolored light instantly swept over the area where Zhao Feng and company were. However, all that was left was a transparent silver afterimage. The figures of Zhao Feng and company had disappeared. Outside the garden, Wang Shua, a layer of silvery silhouette appeared in the void, and four people appeared within it, becoming clearer and clearer. These four people were Zhao Feng, Nin Gongsheng, Zhao Yufei, and Mo Dongyao. That was too close. Zhao Yufei and Mo Dongyao were both scared. Luckily, Zhao Feng's calculations were accurate, and he used the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, at the last moment to bring everyone back. Before leaving, Zhao Feng had left behind a spatial mark outside the garden. This spatial mark was a backup plan. Zhao Feng had already thought about it. If he wanted to obtain the 100 Origins Sacred Honey, he had to alert the queen bee. Alerting the queen bee was equivalent to alerting the entire venomous wasp kingdom. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the substandard god weapon, Zhao Feng wouldn't have dared to poke this hornet's nest. As long as you're fine. The elder in green from the Duanmu family let out a long breath. He was mainly worried about Zhao Yufei. She had the bloodline of the spiritual race and wouldn't have any bottlenecks in breaking through to the mystic light realm. It wasn't worth the risk. Brother Feng, did you manage to get the 100 Origins Sacred Honey? Zhao Yufei let out a long breath. Before entering the divine illusion dimension, she had made up her mind to help senior brother Duanmu obtain resources that could help him break through to the mystic light realm. I got it. There's enough. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face. Although he had only obtained a small portion of the 100 Origins Sacred Honey from the queen bee's nest, it was enough for several dozen people. The distribution was the same as before. Zhao Feng took 40%, and Zhao Yufei, Nan Gongsheng, and Mo Dongyao took 20% each. Wang, right at this moment, a large group of venomous wasps chased out of the garden. The angry screech of the queen came from the depths of the garden. Run! Those from Sky Sword Pavilion and the Duanmu family jumped up in fright. Don't panic. These are my bee slaves. Zhao Feng raised his hand and said, Bee slaves? Everyone forced themselves to calm down. Almost 1,000 wasps flew out. There were 3 king wasps, 100 elite wasps, and the remaining few hundred had auras comparable to late-stage Great Origin Core realms. Zhao Feng had only brought a few elite troops from Poison Bee. Shua. He waved the substandard god bracer on his arm and opened his little world to absorb all the wasps. I suggest that we leave this place as soon as possible. Mo Dongyao was slightly uneasy. The queen bee's powerful aura radiated from the nest in the garden, making everyone's hearts jump and their true yuan go out of control. Half a day later, the group arrived at a quiet courtyard within the Xieyang Palace complex. Those from the Duanmu family and Sky Sword Pavilion went elsewhere to explore. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng stayed in the courtyard to cultivate and consolidate their foundation. There were many fortunes in Xieyang Palace, and they only needed to worry about not having enough strength. 100 Origin Honey. Zhao Feng took out the honey that was 1 level lower than the 100 Origin Sacred Honey. At the end of the day, this was the essence of the honey brewed by the 5 poison distinct bees. This 100 Origin nectar required at least 100 types of top-grade pollen. Adding on the massive work of the bee colony, it would take a long time to form. One had to know that many of the flowers in the garden were comparable to the green water sky lotus, and he couldn't recognize most of them. It would be too wasteful for Zhao Feng to use the 100 Origins Sacred Honey right now. Therefore, he used the 100 origin honey first. After drinking a mouthful of the 100 origin honey, Zhao Feng felt a smooth and fragrant aura spread through his organs and limbs. Perhaps it was because of the 100 origin nectar's innate characteristics or Zhao Feng's powerful sacred lightning body, but the power of the nectar was quickly absorbed and transformed by Zhao Feng's body. In just half the time it took to make tea, Zhao Feng's body shook as a golden blue light flashed through his eyes. The effect of this 100 origin honey has exceeded my expectations. My state of existence and body have both become stronger. Zhao Feng quickly circulated his sacred lightning body and wind lightning technique. Although the 100 origin honey was one level lower, even an emperor would have the foundation to break through to the mystic light realm. On the other hand, the 100 origin sacred honey was a lot more useful for breaking through to the mystic light realm. 3 days later, the aura from Zhao Feng's body became stronger and stronger, and it was slowly approaching the early stages of the 5th level of the sacred lightning body. On top of that, the 100 origin honey didn't just affect the body. It also increased one's true yuan cultivation. Not long later, with the help of the crystal core of the Wind Lightning King and the 100 origin honey, the water of wind lightning within Zhao Feng's body was condensed to the limit, and it even contained wisps of wood-based life force. Chapter 867. Bo. The ripples of water and lightning around Zhao Feng's body were like the ocean, immeasurably deep, but they also had a sapphire feel to them. They seemed to be perfect and endless. Finally, Zhao Feng's first water of wind lightning had reached the peak of perfection. His wind lightning technique had reached the peak of the 6th level, and it was about to touch the 7th level. The water of wind lightning that had been pushed to the limit started to form a faint aura of wood. This was obviously the aura of the wood of wind lightning from the 7th level. The first 3 levels of the 5-elemental wind lightning technique are the foundations of wind lightning, and the 4th to 6th levels are the first 5-elemental wind lightning. Starting from a 7th level, the 5-elemental wind lightning will create a new 5-elemental wind lightning. Joy appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Every additional 5-elemental wind lightning meant that his strength would increase and his abilities would become more varied. The 5-elemental wind lightning created water, water created wood, wood created fire, fire created earth, and earth created metal. The first 5-elemental wind lightning could be chosen. Zhao Feng chose water. In the 5-elemental wind lightning, water created wood. Therefore, Zhao Feng's second 5-elemental wind lightning was the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng was surprised that he was able to form the aura of the wood of wind lightning so quickly. After all, his cultivation wasn't even at the late-stage Great Origin Core realm yet. Theoretically speaking, his cultivation needed to be extremely close to the Void God realm to be able to form the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng thought for a while and understood the reason. So, it's because of the 100 origin honey, which contains the essence of plants. After all, this nectar is the essence of hundreds of top-quality pollen that has been extracted through a huge process. Zhao Feng understood. The 100 origin honey already had such an effect, so Zhao Feng couldn't help but look forward to the higher-level 100 origin sacred honey. Of course, it wasn't suitable for Zhao Feng to use the 100 origin sacred honey right now, or else it would be too wasteful. The 100 origin honey was enough for him to become stronger. Thinking of this, Zhao Feng drank a few more mouthfuls of 100 origin honey juice. Inside the beehive, the quantity of 100 origin honey juice that was a grade lower was much higher. Zhao Feng possessed several jars of it. Time passed day by day. Zhao Feng's wind and lightning power contained more and more wood elemental essence. 4 to 5 days later, his faint green wood of wind lightning appeared on the surface of Zhao Feng's body, and the crystal core within his body also expanded. Nan Gongsheng, who was in seclusion absorbing the power of the evil god, twitched his nose. The place where Zhao Feng stood exuded a faintly discernible fragrance of plants. The plants around him were obviously more exuberant than other places. Late-stage Great Origin Core Realm. Zhao Feng opened his eyes, and a calm aura radiated from his body. This aura subconsciously landed on Nan Gongsheng. Nan Gongsheng took a light breath and looked deeply at Zhao Feng. The coldness on his face softened a little. This wood of wind lightning can reach hundreds of flowers and plants, get rid of hundreds of poisons, and have a better recovery effect. At the same time, it has a stronger corrosive effect on the flesh of living beings. Zhao Feng felt the new 5-elemental wind lightning. The wood of wind lightning's offensive power wasn't strong, and it was even weaker than the water of wind lightning. However, its support abilities were stronger. Wang, a ball of green mist condensed above Zhao Feng's head, and lightning crisscrossed each other. With the help of Emperor Intent and Peak Resources, Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning quickly condensed. At the same time, Zhao Feng used the 7th level of the wind lightning technique to refine his sacred lightning body, and his efficiency increased by more than double. In the next few days, the aura of Zhao Feng's wood of wind lightning started to fade, but the aura of his physical body started to increase. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's golden Kuan sacred lightning body was extremely close to the early stages of the 5th level. Once he succeeded, he would be able to suppress domain-level kings and even fight against peak-tier kings with just his physical body alone. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's cultivation was also continuously increasing. It could be said that Zhao Feng's current cultivation and sacred lightning body didn't have any true bottlenecks. As long as he was willing, Zhao Feng would be able to break through to the Void God realm if he cultivated in seclusion for another 1 or 2 months. However, Zhao Feng couldn't do that. He couldn't waste his precious time cultivating in Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng, there's only 1 month left until the divine illusion dimension overlaps. Nan Gongxing's voice sounded. Although the disturbance of power within Nan Gongxing's body hadn't become much stronger over the past half a month, it had become smoother. In terms of strength, Nan Gongsheng had already surpassed the level of an emperor. For him, how to use this power was the most important thing. Before, it was obvious that Nan Gongsheng was struggling against the Bee Queen's power and couldn't last long. Well, I had to know that. The Bee Queen wasn't a battle type, so she couldn't move or fight. However, her life force and power had reached the level of a sacred lord. If Nan Gongsheng had met a true mystic light realm sacred lord, he wouldn't have been able to fight back at all. I need to use the last month well. Zhao Feng stood up. He would have plenty of time to cultivate once he obtained more resources and returned to the continent zone. I really want to see that Bee Queen again. A layer of purple and blood-silver light floated around Nan Gongxing's body, and the terrifying aura made the nearby space freeze. Your strength isn't any weaker than a mystic light realm sacred lord. Unfortunately, your cultivation is too weak. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. Nan Gongxing's strength was indeed strong. Even the king-level wood of wind, lightning, within his body froze and couldn't circulate. However, Nan Gongxing's cultivation wasn't high enough, so he could only use 30 to 40% of this power. And this was only after he had been cultivating for a while. Hearing that, Nan Gongsheng felt slightly depressed, so he gave up on fighting the Bee Queen. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, Zhao Feng and company might have been killed in the hornet's nest last time. I'm not in a rush to increase my strength right now. I should at least wait until my soul intent reaches the level of an emperor. Nan Gongsheng made up his mind. At this moment, he could still see the difference between him and Zhao Feng. If he met the left-eyed heavenly emperor at his peak, he probably wouldn't be his match right now. Whoosh, whoosh. Under the cover of a layer of silver and purple light, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng moved through Xieyang Palace at a shocking speed and started to search everywhere. Wherever they went, their powerful auras made the hearts of geniuses and elites shake. Luckily, the purple-haired demonic duo, who were almost invincible, didn't try to rob them. Even the fake demonic duo didn't appear. In reality, Nan Gongxing's personality changed dramatically after obtaining the evil god's inheritance. He tried to rob them several times, but Zhao Feng stopped him. Zhao Feng could feel that Nan Gongxing's personality was slowly changing. Furthermore, this slow change was like a natural process that Zhao Feng couldn't change. Time passed quickly. In the remaining month, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng searched everywhere and obtained more and more resources. However, as the god's forbidden array within Xieyang Palace stabilized, they couldn't enter many important places. Fortune like the 100 Origins sacred honey was hard to find, and the resources they obtained were only comparable to the green water sky lotuses. Or maybe, even if Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng teamed up, they wouldn't be able to deal with some fortune. For example, there was a spiritual pet garden within Xieyang Palace. Many of the spiritual pets there were at the sacred lord level, and they were restricted within the garden. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng didn't dare to approach the spiritual pet garden. Apart from that, there were some dangerous places that could instantly kill emperors or even sacred lords. They didn't want to risk their lives. On this day, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng stood on top of a tall building and held their breaths. Zhao Feng felt that the space in front of him started to become fainter. Every brick, every tile, every blade of grass seemed to become fainter. It felt like a mirage, and it wasn't real. At the same time, the kings of other forces also realized this. The divine illusion dimension and the continent zone are about to overlap. Xian Yuanwen murmured. Calculating the time, they had been in the divine illusion dimension for several months now. There's around 3 or 4 days left. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other. The divine illusion dimension was a unique dimension left behind by an ancient god. It was like a real mirage that overlapped with heaven and earth. Another half a day passed. The fainter dimension in front of them started to become transparent. Why do I feel like everything in the divine illusion dimension isn't real? Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. Is God spiritual? I couldn't see through this dimension. He had a similar feeling in the Fanlin ancient sound palace, just like how he couldn't see through Lu Qinshin. According to the information I obtained from the evil god mental thought body, the divine illusion dimension was once a unique world created by the Tao of illusions. It's similar to your illusion maze domain. Furthermore, ancient god Xieyang wasn't the creator of this dimension. Many gods lived here a long time ago. Some divine realm experts guessed that the divine illusion dimension was a fragment of space left behind after the ancient era shattered. Nan Gongsheng inspected the fading dimension with a weird gaze. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng even had the illusion that the matter he touched in this space was like the time in a mirror, but it was also real. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's heart shook as he thought about the ancient dream realm in the dimension of his left eye. From a certain perspective, the two seemed to have the same goal. As time passed, the space they were in gradually faded and became transparent. Most of them were waiting for the return journey. However, on this day, a shocking piece of news spread through Xieyang Palace. Quick, stop the Blue Serpent King. A voice sounded from within the Xieyang Palace group. Not good. The Blue Serpent King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon have obtained the keys to the Yuan sealing divine chains. An atmosphere of panic and fear spread throughout the human camp. What? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng jumped up in fright when they saw the commotion. Right at this moment, whoosh, 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 the group from the Ji family chased over, and the person leading them was Jilan. Purple-haired, demonic duo. Jilan paused for a moment before revealing an urgent expression. The Blue Serpent King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon have been hiding amongst the humans. Half a day ago, they used the Imperials to break through and obtain the keys to the Yuan sealing divine chains. This will be troublesome, Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. It's almost impossible to save them, Jilan said with a sobbing tone. Apart from us and a small number of people with eye bloodlines that can see through the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's concealment, most people can't even see them. Chapter 868. It's almost unsalvageable. At the last moment of the divine illusion dimension's end, this piece of news caused a huge commotion. An aura of danger once again spread across Xieyang Palace. Elites from Sky Suspension Palace, the Great Ghan Imperial's Sky Sword Pavilion, the Duanmu family, and many other forces started a search for the Blue Serpent King and Jilan. However, Xieyang Palace was an independent dimension, and all kinds of senses and divine senses were greatly suppressed. How hard would it be to find two people in such a huge palace? The most troublesome thing was only a limited number of people could track the 1,000 Changes illusionary dragon's movements. Zhao Feng, quickly think of something. Jilan seemed to be grasping at a life-saving straw. Her tone was slightly pleading. For some reason, she had an inexplicable confidence in this purple-haired young man, whose cultivation was not very high. If even Zhao Feng couldn't do anything, then the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would be destroyed at the last moment. There's only one way left. Zhao Feng sighed after thinking for a long time. Xieyang Palace was very big, and it would be very hard to find two people who were purposely hiding, even if he used the Eye of Heaven. Last time, the reason why Zhao Feng was able to confirm the location of the fake demonic duo was because they had been exposed. This time, the Blue Serpent King and Jilan would definitely be on guard against Zhao Feng in case they faced the gaze of the God Eye again. What is it? Jilan's beautiful purple eyes revealed a wisp of hope. However, Zhao Feng only glanced at her and didn't say anything. Jilan instantly understood that the mark of destruction on her couldn't escape the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon senses. Let's go. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other. Shua, the substandard god weapon on Zhao Feng's arm lit up faintly, and a layer of silver light appeared on their bodies. In the next instant, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng disappeared under the gazes of the Ji family. This is the power of the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world. The elites of the Ji family were dumbfounded. Jilan and company obviously didn't know that Zhao Feng had left 19 spatial marks around Xieyang Palace. Meanwhile, the Peak Kings of Sky Void Palace, the Great Ghan Imperials, and other forces headed toward the outskirts of Xieyang Palace. I hope I can make it in time. Senior brother Zhuge took a deep breath and said, "There is only one way to stop them." At this moment, the geniuses and kings within Xieyang Palace started to quickly leave the palace. After some time, at a certain moment outside Xieyang Palace, we're almost there, a layer of transparent dark green camouflage light blended with the surroundings and was rapidly moving in a certain direction. Ahead, outside the God-forbidden formation, the giant shadow of the black-scaled dragon coiled in the air and could already be seen. The blue WYRM King and the 1,000 Changes illusionary dragon were disguised within the dark green camouflage. Lord Black Serpent Dragon, we're almost there. The Blue Serpent King's face was filled with excitement. Stop! Right at this moment, a silver-gray figure flashed, and two purple-haired figures appeared. Purple-haired demonic duo. How is this possible? The hearts of the blue WYRM King and 1,000 Changes illusionary dragon shook. Meow meow. A dancing thieving cat appeared in front of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Shua. The blue WYRM King and 1,000 Changes illusionary dragons figures appeared. They were first shocked, then grim, and then they started to laugh loudly. Ha ha! Zhao Feng, your soul, Dao, Eye bloodline techniques won't be able to do anything to us. The blue WRM King roared as an emperor intent that could freeze heaven and earth appeared, and a layer of blue frost instantly formed on the nearby grass and trees. Wong, the blue WRM King's body was covered in blue scales that were as thick as ice. The aura of his bloodline and body was enough to make normal kings collapse. Emperor intent. The blue WYRM King has become an emperor. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's expressions changed slightly. The blue WYRM King's bloodline could be ranked in the top 10 Imperial Dao bloodlines. Once he became an emperor, his battle power would be extremely close to a peak emperor. Illusion God Mask. The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon clicked his tongue as a clown mask appeared on his face, but it radiated a powerful soul Tao illusion. That's an inheritance sacred weapon of the Tao of illusions. Zhao Feng's expression became solemn. No wonder the blue WYRM King and Nan Gongsheng were so confident. The blue WYRM King's strength had surpassed Emperor Mu Yun's level due to his powerful bloodline. On the other hand, the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon was extremely resilient against soul Tao secret techniques and illusions. Now that it had obtained a soul Tao inheritance sacred artifact from Xieyang Palace, it wasn't scared of emperor-level soul Tao secret techniques. 2-on-2, let's fight. Nan Gongsheng licked his lips. The purple and blood-colored symbol on his forehead was bright red, and the undulation of power from his body seemed to freeze the space nearby. Zhao Feng opened his left eye bloodline, and a layer of golden blue light appeared around him as the aura of his sacred lightning body spread. However, this was just what Zhao Feng was doing on the surface. He had already started to control the king and elite venomous bees within the misty spatial world. The two started to accumulate power and were ready to fight. Huh, we're not that stupid. You two thieves, one inherited the power of the evil god, and the other has the substandard god misty spatial world. The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon had cunning expressions. They could clearly see the situation within Xieyang Palace through the black WYRM King. Whoosh! A dark green light flashed, and the blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon disappeared. Zhao Feng found that there were no traces of the two nearby. Underground, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked down at the ground at the same time. The crystal horn on the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's head spun rapidly and flashed with a bright orange light. Whoosh! The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon took the blue WYRM King and burrowed into the ground. Earth escape. This chameleon knows how to burrow into the ground? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's expressions changed dramatically. Although the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's body and battle power were slightly weaker than the blue WYRM King's, its support and escaping abilities were top tier. Zhao Feng, do you know how to burrow in the ground? Nan Gongsheng asked. Zhao Feng's face twitched, and he rolled his eyes. He wasn't omnipotent. At this moment, he regretted not choosing the earth of wind lightning when he first chose the 5 elemental wind lightning. If he had chosen the earth of wind lightning, Zhao Feng would have been able to travel through the ground. Zhao Feng stomped on the ground. The soil was extremely hard, and it took him a lot of effort to create a crack, let alone traversing through the soil. After all, this was Xieyang Palace. Even if it wasn't made of stone, it was still not normal. However, the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon's bloodline had the ability to break through the ground. Meow meow. The little thieving cat suddenly waved a spade and dug into the ground. Bong! Boom! Suddenly, the ground nearby began to shake violently. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng could feel the ground beneath them shatter. Arg! The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon howled as they moved through the ground. Wah! Wah! Both of them vomited blood under the terrifying power of the collapsing soil layer, and they were almost stuck below. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had weird expressions as they looked at the spade in the little thieving cat's hands. A bottomless crack appeared in the ground where the little thieving cat had dug. The crack spread in every direction. Zhao Feng guessed that the little thieving cat's spade had a strong ability to dig through metal and earth. This spade wasn't an offensive weapon. It should be a support-type substandard god weapon. Boom! Boom! The little thieving cat waved the spade and dug a few more times. Damn it! The blue WYRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon barely managed to break through the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. The two of you obediently hand over the key to the origin sealing divine chain. The divine illusion dimension is about to leave, and everyone will be able to safely survive. Zhao Feng said. If it was a 2-on-2, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had a high chance of winning. However, if the blue WRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon wanted to escape, it would be difficult to make them stay. Winning and killing were two different concepts. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Right at this moment, the sound of flying came from afar. We've arrived. Xinyuan Wenhua turned into a streak of light and was the first to arrive. Behind him, one could faintly see the figures of Zhao Yufei, Imo Dongyao, senior martial brother Zhuge, and other powerful kings. Invisibly, the blue WRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon were pincered. Zhao Feng will succeed as long as you can stall them for a while. Senior martial brother Zhuge exclaimed. No problem. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had confident expressions. Behind them, the elite kings that were chasing after them couldn't help but feel relieved. It was all thanks to Zhao Feng's substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world, that he managed to stop the blue WRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon. Ha ha! The blue WRM King started to laugh even though he was being sandwiched. The blue WRM King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon stood where they were and didn't move. What are you laughing about? The hearts of Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and the people chasing after them dropped. All of you won't be able to escape this. The blue WRM King's eyes were cold as a mocking smile appeared on his face, and his voice was calm and powerful. Wong, right at this moment, the roar of a dragon sounded from outside the god's forbidden array and caused heaven and earth to change color. Everyone's gazes couldn't help but turned toward the black destruction serpent dragon outside the god's forbidden array. Lord Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. This is the key to the Yuan sealing divine chains. A muscular male with thick eyebrows threw a black key as thick as a tree trunk toward the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon outside the crack. God Chain's key. The humans in the back focused their vision, and when they saw this scene, their hearts thumped loudly. Gu Chaoji, Zhao Feng, and Nan Gongsheng exclaimed. The muscular male with thick eyebrows who had handed over the key was Gu Chaoji from Earth Spirit Hall. He, Lord Black Destruction, Serpent Dragon, saw through your plan long ago. This key has already been given to someone else. We're just a cover. The Thousand Changes illusionary dragon gave a smug smile. Gu Chaoji, as a human genius, why are you helping the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon? Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but ask. Back in the underground palace, Gu Chaoji's Earth Spirit Hall had teamed up with Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng's 10,000 Sacred Clan. Those of us who came in later have the mark of destruction placed on us, and its control isn't just strong. You can stall for time and leave alive, but we won't be able to. The blue WRM King Wei Jing said emotionlessly. Zhao Feng and company fell silent. Under the dual effects of the threat to their lives and the temptation of benefits, most of the people present would definitely make the same choice as the blue WRM King and the others. At this moment, the situation couldn't be changed. Outside Xieyang Palace, the Yuan sealing divine chains on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave off a crisp sound, and the aura of the Destruction Dragon rose to another level. Pung, pung. Everyone's hearts sped up, and their bodies went cold. Chapter 869. This series of shocking turns of events caught everyone off guard. The Blue Serpent King and the Black Destruction Serpent King were just a cover. The real key had already been given to someone else. The Black Serpent Dragon controlled everything in Xieyang Palace. Being an existence that had lived for countless years, its intelligence was once again underestimated by the humans. At that distance, no one was able to react in time and stop it. Ding-ka! The black chains on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body opened, and the sound of metal resounded across heaven and earth like the sound of despair and the end of its life. Woo! Everything will end. I will first tear you ants apart, then destroy Xie Yang's foundation bit by bit. The black destruction serpent dragon roared into the sky as a scarlet-black flame appeared on its black-scaled body. The aura of the black destruction serpent dragon instantly doubled. Boom! A forbidden and cold destruction draconic might cover the entire dimension that Xie Yang Palace was in. Everything in heaven and earth seemed to tremble and fall into endless fear. Within Xie Yang Palace, the outsider elites seemed to become petrified. Their bodies and bloodlines trembled, and they were unable to use their true yuan. They could only tremble. The bloodline aura of the destruction dragon race, ranked 9th among the 10,000 ancient races, stood at the peak of a myth. Now that the yuan sealing divine chains have been opened, the black destruction serpent dragon will be able to circulate its dragon yuan divine power. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng barely managed to stabilize themselves, but they couldn't hide the shock in their eyes. Within Xie Yang Palace, many kings and half-step kings that had the mark of destruction placed on them knelt on the ground. In terms of bloodline, state of existence, and power, the black destruction serpent dragon surpassed everyone else by too much. In this moment of danger, Zhao Feng gently touched the substandard god bracer in his hand. A wicked smile appeared on Nan Gongsheng's face. However, in the next instant, a change occurred. Wang, the yuan sealing divine chains that the black destruction serpent dragon had just opened, merged with the giant key and released a wave of dazzling five-colored lightning. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the five-colored godly lightning extended into countless electric chains that wrapped around the black serpent dragon. The black destruction serpent dragon's black-scaled body twisted and convulsed in the air as it let out miserable cries. What a terrifying lightning power! The power of wind lightning within Zhao Feng's body became restless, and even the divine tribulation lightning trembled slightly. Zhao Feng had no way of estimating just how terrifyingly powerful the five-color divine lightning was. Even the black serpent dragon had suffered grievous injuries. Boom! The black flood dragon's body was covered in five-colored lightning chains. Its huge body landed on the ground, creating a huge crater and sending dust flying everywhere. Shameless Xie Yang, how dare you trick me? The black serpent dragon's enraged roar shook the heavens. Just the remnant aura alone was enough to make many humans feel as if their minds were about to split apart. Boom! Boom! In that area of dust, the black serpent dragon's huge body struggled and rolled. The five-colored lightning kept flashing and cutting, even sinking deep into its body. TSK, leaving his opponent some leeway, is not Master Xie Yang style. A wicked voice sounded from within Nan Gongsheng's body. The ancient god Xie Yang knew that he couldn't seal the black flood dragon forever. The reason he left behind this key was to further plot against the black serpent dragon. Nan Gongsheng explained. He had learned about this from the evil god's mental thought entity. The experts within Xie Yang Palace couldn't help but let out a long breath. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Everything had its vanquisher, and every mountain was taller than the last. Although the black serpent dragon had unparalleled battle power, it had been sealed by the ancient god Xie Yang. That wasn't all. The ancient god Xie Yang was still within Xie Yang Palace, and he had left something behind to plot against the black serpent dragon. Unfortunately, the key has been stored for too long, and the power of the divine lightning isn't even 1% of its peak. Otherwise, the wicked voice within Nan Gongsheng's body said regretfully, "Let's retreat for now." Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye could see that the five-colored lightning chains around the black serpent dragon's body were weakening. At the same time, an almost undetectable crack appeared on the surface of the yuan sealing divine chains. Zhao Feng was sure that the five-colored lightning wasn't able to kill the black serpent dragon. The black serpent dragon might be able to recover soon. The human elites that had just arrived understood and retreated into the depths of Xie Yang Palace. The divine illusion dimension is about to end. The longer we can last, the higher our chances of survival will be. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge decisively retreated. The flowers and plants within Xieyang Palace started to become fainter and more transparent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The king elites that had just arrived all moved away from the Black Serpent Dragon. The Blue Serpent King and the Thousand Changes illusionary dragon took this opportunity to hide into the ground. The other humans didn't have time to care about them. Zhao Feng could clearly feel that the Black Serpent Dragon's movements had become much smaller as they retreated. Half a day later, the geniuses and elites of the various forces retreated to the depths of Xieyang Palace and gathered together. When the Black Serpent Dragon comes in, the overlapping divine illusion dimension will leave the continent zone. Our chances of survival aren't small. The 8th Prince of the Imperials gave a faint smile. At least, the Black Serpent Dragon wasn't as threatening as before. Time slowly passed by. Everyone within Xieyang Palace was in pain. Another half a day passed, and the Black Serpent Dragon's struggles outside Xieyang Palace had completely stopped. Humans, as a member of the World Destroyer clan, even if I'm injured and weak, I can still easily crush you ants. A dark roar resounded across Xieyang Palace through the mark of destruction. Boom, boom. The god's forbidden array outside Xieyang Palace started to shake once more. Enter. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon turned into a humanoid male covered in black dragon scales, opened a crack, and entered Xieyang Palace with a whoosh. Outside Xieyang Palace, the Yuan Sealing Divine Chains had broken into pieces. After losing the Yuan Sealing Divine Chains, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon could turn into its human form and use secret techniques. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the black-scaled male revealed a deadly expression as he was covered in a layer of scarlet-black flames. A faint black tornado appeared around him and swept across everything within dozens of miles. Whoosh, boom, boom. Wherever the human-shaped Black Serpent Dragon passed, everything would be burned black. The Black Serpent Dragon is charging in. The expressions of some of the human elites within Xieyang Palace changed dramatically. Although the black-scaled male wasn't big, his destructive power was shocking. Even under the suppression of Xieyang Palace's power, he was still able to shatter mountains. Most of the human elites were in the depths of Xieyang Palace. Within an underground cellar, Yufei, we've worked together to dissolve the mark of destruction in your body. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng slowly let go of each other. Zhao Yufei opened her eyes and revealed a look of joy, but then worry and furrowed her eyebrows. Zhao Feng knew that she was worried about the safety of the other members of the Duanmu family. Yufei, it's too late. The mark of destruction in your body was strengthened by the Black Serpent Dragon. It took a long time to dissolve. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. Dissolving the mark of destruction was a very troublesome matter. Zhao Feng didn't have the responsibility nor the ability to dispel the mark of destruction for everyone. The benefit of dissolving the mark of destruction was that the Black Serpent Dragon wouldn't be able to sense it after it entered Xieyang Palace. The Black Serpent Dragon would first sense the targets with the mark of destruction in Xieyang Palace and avoid the ones that didn't have the mark of destruction. Therefore, everyone in the palace was trying to think of a way to dissolve the mark of destruction. However, only a small number of people were able to do so. Only Zhao Feng, Mo Dongyao, Nan Gongsheng, and a small number of people had the ability to dissolve it. Rumble. Outside the Xieyang Palace complex, the human-shaped Black Serpent Dragon summoned a faint black tornado of light and attacked. Ark. A small number of geniuses and elites weren't able to dodge in time and were instantly turned into pieces by the whirlwind. Whoosh! The speed and agility of the human-shaped Black Serpent Dragon increased dramatically, and it purposely dragged some of the human elites into its destruction. Most of the humans in Xieyang Palace started to panic. The geniuses and kings that hadn't dissolved the mark of destruction were the first to be slaughtered. They didn't even have the ability to fight back. Whether they lived or died, whether they died earlier or later, it all depended on luck. However, two purple-haired figures had cold expressions on one of the towers. They didn't show any signs of panic. The black serpent dragon is heavily injured. It's just forcing itself to charge into Xieyang Palace to vent its anger. Nan Gongsheng said. After being tricked by Xieyang, the black serpent dragon's threat decreased by more than half. Zhao Feng and company didn't have the mark of destruction in the misty spatial world. Their chances of survival were the highest. The destruction dragon race's bloodline is really monstrous. It can increase one's strength through destruction and even recover one's yuan qi. Apparently, the destruction dragon race can absorb a type of origin power of destruction every time they destroy a dimension or world and use that to strengthen themselves. Zhao Feng sighed. This was the specialty of a race that was ranked 9th among the 10,000 ancient races. Otherwise, why would the destruction dragon race want to destroy a world so easily without any benefits? Run! Fear and chaos broke out within Xieyang Palace as the geniuses and elites ran in all directions. Roar! At a certain moment, the black serpent dragon roared and charged toward the area where Zhao Feng and company were. Before the power even arrived, Zhao Feng's body and soul started to tremble. He felt as if he was about to be destroyed and turn into dust. Shua! A layer of silver light covered Zhao Feng and company, and their figures started to fade before disappearing. In the next instant, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng appeared outside of Xieyang Palace. Before this, Zhao Feng had left more than a dozen spatial marks outside of Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng suddenly exclaimed as he looked at the transparent space in front of him. Faintly, his god spiritual eye could see through the transparent space and see the hazy mountains and rivers below. The aura of the continent zone. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. A ripple of energy came from the clan token on his body, and it seemed to be pulling him in. So, before entering the divine illusion dimension, the super forces would give a return token to the elites that were entering. When the divine illusion dimension was at its faintest, they could use the return token to return to the clan and not get lost. We can go back now. Exclamations of joy sounded from the divine illusion dimension. Shua! 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 The bodies of some geniuses and elites sank into the transparent space and flew toward the hazy space of the continent zone. Those figures soon disappeared. The space in front of him seemed to become a mirror, like it was a dream. A real physical dimension. The black serpent dragon, which was destroying everything in its path, couldn't help but pause as it looked at the hazy continent zone below. A cold and cruel light flashed through its eyes. Shua! 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 More and more elites, including those outside of Xieyang Palace and in other corners of the divine illusion dimension, disappeared. Nan Gongsheng, we'll meet again in the future. Zhao Feng's body had already sunk downwards, and he followed the pull of the return token into a misty passageway that seemed to be both real and illusionary. An unknown number of breaths passed. Shua! Zhao Feng's body sank and appeared on a black stage. The exclamations of the disciples of the 10,000 sacred clan sounded. This was the 10,000 sacred clan of the Tianfeng Great Island Zone. Chapter 870. Divine Illusion Dimension. Right now, the matter of space was as faint as smoke and clouds, like the time in a mirror. Everything seemed transparent and empty. At this moment, a layer of illusionary world phantom images enshrouded heaven and earth, and it was gradually breaking away from the continent zone. The first to leave was the northwestern region of the continent zone, not the continent dynasty. Inside a hall that looked like a giant beast. Yu Qianhao, count yourself lucky this time. I'll let you have the heavenly barbarian god's inheritance first. A red-haired man whose entire body was glowing with a golden light was holding a long spear in his hand. He stood proudly on a huge fire-winged dragon that was several hundred feet long, like a fiery god of war. Just the aura from the flaming winged dragon was close to that of an emperor. Opposite the red-haired man was a black-haired young man. His face was pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Although this black-haired young man, Yu Tianhao, was only at the middle stage of the Void God realm, he had a shocking battle intent. You are very strong, but you're not my true opponent. Yu Tianhao wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth, exuding an indescribable confidence. The red-haired male was too strong. His bloodline and cultivation were perfect, and he had broken through to the Void God realm during the early stages of the divine illusion dimension. Moreover, he had obtained a blazing winged dragon that was close to a great emperor. If he hadn't obtained the acknowledgement of the will of the heavenly barbarian god's inheritance, Yu Qianhao would have suffered a crushing defeat. Arrogant and ignorant. In the entire divine illusion dimension, only that Xian Yuan One is my greatest enemy. It's a pity that I didn't meet him this time. The red-haired man's lips curled into a mocking smile. It seemed like he didn't care about Yu Tianhao at all. Whoosh, whoosh. In the fading void, Yu Qianhao and the red-haired man quickly disappeared. After that, the geniuses in the Lore dynasty started to quickly disappear like Xieyang Palace. Zhao Feng and the others were among the last to disappear. If one looked at the divine illusion dimension as a transparent world that overlapped with the continent zone space, the divine illusion dimension would be like a transparent world. In that case, the region closest to the northwestern region of the continent will be the first to break away from the overlap. The second was the central continent. Finally, there were the 10,000 Sacred Clan and the Tsang Ocean True Martial Sacred Land. If one looked at the entire divine illusion dimension, the most dangerous place was Xieyang Palace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the geniuses and elites of Xieyang Palace were filled with joy as they returned to the continent zone. Although Xieyang Palace was the most dangerous place, the fortune here was much better than the other places. Their future would be immeasurable if they could leave this place alive. A real physical space. Very good, very good. The Black Destruction's serpent dragon coldly watched as these geniuses and elites disappeared, but it didn't stop them. It licked its lips in anticipation. Wherever I go, there will be destruction and end. The Black Destruction serpent dragon's figure slowly sank into the hazy dimension of the continent zone. Continent zone, coastal region, Tianfeng Great Island Zone. Whoosh! A purple-haired youth appeared on the platform of the 10,000 Sacred Clan. It's here. It's him. Zhao Feng. This kid is actually the first one to appear. The exclamations of some members of the 10,000 Sacred Clan came from near the black stage. I'm a first one. Zhao Feng stood rooted to the spot, stunned. After thinking about it, he understood the reason. He was chasing the Black Destruction serpent dragon in the divine illusion dimension and entered the area where the divine illusion dimension overlapped with the continent. The continent had connected to the divine illusion dimension earlier than this place, so it had left the divine illusion dimension earlier as well. This was why Zhao Feng was the first one to return. Junior, Martial Brother Zhao, what did you get in the divine illusion dimension? Junior, why did you come out first and the others are nowhere to be seen? The juniors and seniors of the 10,000 Sacred Clan surrounded the stage and stared at Zhao Feng with twinkling eyes. The changes in Zhao Feng's body were too big. Late stage, Great Origin Core Realm. This brat was only at the middle stage, Small Origin Core Realm before entering the divine illusion dimension. Some of the inner disciples discussed. In just a few months, he had jumped from the middle stage, Small Origin Core Realm, to the late stage, Great Origin Core Realm. That was shocking. Most of the time in the divine illusion dimension was spent on exploring and not cultivating. This speed isn't fast. Zhao Feng shook his head. He didn't spend much time cultivating in the divine illusion dimension, so it wasn't fast compared to Nan Gongsheng and company. Although Zhao Feng's improvement wasn't any slower than Nan Gongsheng's, the situation was different since he had recultivated. Therefore, Zhao Feng wasn't satisfied with his own cultivation speed, and these words came from the bottom of his heart. These words made some of the juniors and seniors of the 10,000 Sacred Clan reveal weird expressions, as if they had been choked. This brat is just acting. This brat must have had great fortune in the divine illusion dimension. Everyone's gazes locked onto Zhao Feng. They were filled with heat, envy, jealousy, unwillingness, and various other emotions. There were even one or two void god realm divine senses among them. Zhao Feng. A surge of magnificent power crushed over and caused the soul dimension to tremble. The noisy area suddenly became silent, and many people's thoughts seemed to be suppressed by an invisible mountain. Different worlds, the difference is really big. Zhao Feng almost couldn't get used to it, and he sighed his heart. The pressure in the divine illusion dimension was too strong. The power and destruction that a void god realm king could unleash was thousands of times weaker than in this dimension. Zhao Feng. There was a hint of anger in the king's voice, and the invisible pressure suddenly increased. The brat acted like he wasn't paying attention to the king's words. In this instant, the members of the clan around Zhao Feng found it hard to breathe, and their souls seemed to freeze. However, Zhao Feng stood where he was, as if he didn't feel anything at all. This scene made the void god realm king that asked the question exclaim. The other half-step kings and many experts of the older generation felt like something was wrong. Elder, what do you want? Zhao Feng raised his head and looked at the cloth-robed elder surrounded by magnificent power in the air. In the distance, a middle-aged king in snow-white robes arrived. It was Huang Yunhu's master, King Lu Yan. Elder Wu, we can talk. If you start a fight with a junior, won't you be lowering your status? King Lu Yan quickly tried to calm things down. In the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, Zhao Feng's backing wasn't just strong. Apparently, he had a void god realm emperor behind him, and Duke Nanfeng had praised him and tried to recruit him. This brat was disrespectful to an elder, so he should be punished. I won't care about it. However, you need to report the whereabouts of the other members of the clan. Elder Wu harumphed coldly. Elder Wu suppressed the anger and displeasure in his heart. A junior at the Origin Core realm dared to disrespect him just because he had a strong backing? He didn't even put a king in his eyes. Zhao Feng, you appeared half a day earlier than expected. Tell me where the others are. King Lu Yun asked. Why was Zhao Feng the only one to return? Did something happen to the others? This question made the hearts of the upper echelon of the 10,000 sacred clan tense. After all, those that entered the divine illusion dimension were either prodigies of the younger generation or elites of the older generation. The life and death of this group of elites might decide the future of the 10,000 sacred clan. The others? Zhao Feng thought for a moment before answering. I split up with them at the start of the divine illusion dimension. At least at that time, they were fine, and there weren't many casualties. During the early stages of the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng stayed with the group of the 10,000 sacred clan for a while. After the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon appeared, Zhao Feng teamed up with Nan Gongsheng and left the group. Split up? Why did you leave the group? Elder Wu's expression became grim. This was a question that everyone was concerned about. Because of a disaster, the sealed Black Destruction Serpent Dragon appeared, and everyone ran their separate ways. Zhao Feng briefly explained the situation. Most of what he said was true. What he really hid was that he looked down on the strength of the group of the 10,000 sacred clan and decided to go alone with Nan Gongsheng. Reality proved that. This was a decision that changed everything. During the early stages of the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng teamed up with Nan Gongsheng and passed the weakest stage. Destruction, Serpent Dragon? Black Destruction, Serpent Dragon? Hearing this, the members of the 10,000 sacred clan felt like they were listening to a legend. That's nonsense. Elder Wu's expression was cold as his king intent circled around Zhao Feng in an attempt to pressure him, but he found that he wasn't affected at all. Zhao Feng then patiently told him the details. However, Elder Wu and the others continued to raise doubts one after another, asking for more and more details. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed, and he started to become impatient. Then let me ask you, what fortune did you have in the divine illusion dimension? How did a measly Origin Core realm break through to the late-stage Great Origin Core realm in such a short amount of time, without any problems? Elder Wu's eyes twinkled. This junior in front of him didn't even react to his king intent. He definitely had great fortune in the divine illusion dimension. Fortune? This isn't a big secret. Many people have entered the ancient, mysterious palace. As for my cultivation speed, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's fast. Zhao Feng answered everything truthfully. Elder Wu's provocative questioning and overbearing attitude made him more and more impatient. Ancient, mysterious palace. What a joke. This isn't fast. That's a joke. The anger on Elder Wu's face became stronger and stronger. A junior at the Origin Core realm dared to not put him in his eyes and even tease him. However, he didn't expect that everything Zhao Feng said was the truth. After the divine illusion dimension ended, the name Zhao Feng would shake the 3-star and 4-star powers of the Lord Dynasty. It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. I'll be leaving now. After saying that, Zhao Feng walked out of the stage. He was too lazy to explain. He still wanted to go back and check his harvest from the divine illusion dimension. His harvest from a divine illusion dimension was too plentiful. His ancient metal ring wasn't enough, but luckily, he had obtained the substandard god weapon, the misty spatial world. Brat, stop. If you don't give me an explanation, I'll take you down first. Elder Wu was enraged, and his magnificent power covered everything within a 100-mile radius as an invisible force grabbed onto Zhao Feng. Normal Origin Core realms wouldn't be able to fight back against the magnificent power at all. Shut up. Zhao Feng was also enraged. He circulated the power of his sacred lightning body and kicked toward Elder Wu. Boom! Boom! The instant this kick landed, heaven and earth changed color, and thunder boomed as a terrifying golden-blue physical force pierced through the air. Arg! Just a wisp of this aura made the nearby members of the clan feel as if they were being crushed by a mountain. Many of them spat out blood and fell to the ground. Not good. I forgot. Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly as he realized the difference between this place and the divine illusion dimension. The power of his sacred lightning body, which was close to the early stages of the 5th level, was terrifying enough to crush normal kings. Bam! Elder Wu screamed as his magnificent power shattered, and he was kicked back several hundred miles. His bones almost broke as he spat out blood in midair. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.